Well, the Golden State Warriors are the second oldest in the NBA. I think the Clippers are the first. They're the shortest team in the NBA. And tonight in Denver, they were missing their best player, Stephen Curry, who wisely skipped the trip with, I believe, the coaches and the team's blessing because of a lingering cold or some sort of bug. We all saw him coughing up some pieces of lung the other night post game, and dude needs his rest. So you could argue the outcome tonight in Denver, an absolute dud. Just a miserable game. 129-104, the final. You could argue it was a par for course. It was expected, but there's a little stink hovering over this team, and there's some issues. There's some problems. We're going to talk about it. Armando Lara, the professor, will join me hopefully in just a second. The moment he's ready, he will join the party. Happy Friday night. That is your good news, folks. Maybe the only good news correlating with this program since we covered the Golden State Warriors, but nonetheless, at least you get to sleep in tomorrow. I hope you do. If you work on the weekends, my apologies in advance for lacking consideration there. Let's talk about what happened in this game, though. A lot went down. You would have thought Will Richard would have seen significant minutes tonight and that he would have been playing a lot sooner than with 5 minutes and change remaining to go in the first half. We didn't see Will Richard until 6 minutes something seconds in the second quarter. Well over half the quarter already played. Again, nearly the end of the first half before the Warriors' leading scorer their last game got playing time. We also saw minutes tonight where Trace Jackson-Davis and Quentin Post were on the floor together. And side note, I don't think that was the worst thing ever. But then naturally, of course, we never saw it again. Ooh, the professor's going to be late tonight. That's fine. There's a lot to cover to get things started. He will join me at some point. I thankfully have you. I'm not alone. Misery loves company. Let's commiserate together. Let's be miserable, bitter sons of bitches all at the same time, at the same place. Because why not? If we're not doing it together, then we're not smiling. That's why the adage exists. Misery loves company. Let's break down a brutal game. Just a ugly game. I haven't even looked at the stats yet. I'll look at them with you. Again, happy Friday night. And this is the Golden Days. Let's go. We are powered by FanDuel. And at least from my perspective, maybe it's selfish saying so, that's the only piece of good news I can think of at the moment, that we do have an awesome sponsor, and that is FanDuel, the official sportsbook of the program and Golden Days. Let's see if the Warriors' Sunday home game against the Indiana Pacers, a game where the Golden State Warriors will be looking for vengeance for that brutal road trip a week and a half ago in Indianapolis. I was gonna say, like, I feel like the whatever the Warriors are in right now, this funk, this slide. I was gonna say I felt like it started in Indiana, but no, it actually started even it started before that. I feel like it started in Milwaukee. It was that Bucks game where it all just started to fall apart. The Golden State Warriors are now 1-5 on the road this season. Their record overall drops to 500. The line is currently not available, again, courtesy of FanDuel for Sunday's Warriors-Pacers game. I am curious to see what the line currently is for the OU for wins on the year, because you could bet on that throughout the season, again, courtesy of FanDuel. And I've seen this number fluctuate. At one point, the OU for wins, and you, the gambler man, can bet whether you think the team's going to win more or less than that amount. In the off season, way back when, even before the Kuminga saga was settled, before we knew who the free agents were, the Warriors over under was at 46.5. Then the Warriors have this amazing start to the year. We're all feeling good. And that number went up to 51.5. And I haven't looked at it since. Right now, although I could tell you this, following the Bucks game, it was either the Bucks or the Pacers game, the line vanished. It was at 51.5, and I think we were doing this live. The number right now is currently 49.5. That is your OU for the Golden State Warriors. Depends on the day how I feel personally about whether or not you should bet the over or under on that. At 46.5, I was feeling pretty good about the over. 49.5, that's still a damn big number, especially considering 10 games in with 72 to play. The Warriors are 500, and to win 50 games on the season, which is what you need for the Warriors to cover that bet, the over at least, you need the Golden State to finish 18 games above 500. That's what a 50-32 record is. So no, I would not feel fantastic about the over, but huge but. This is also supposed to be the hardest part of the season for the Warriors. Back-to-backs, insanely difficult opposition. Case in point tonight, the Denver Nuggets on the road, kicking off things for the NBA Cup for your Golden State Warriors. This one counted towards the in-season tournament. Something tells me the Warriors group, which is just a nightmare, something tells me the Warriors are going to finish last in their group of five, because that group features the Denver Nuggets, who they play tonight, the San Antonio Spurs, who beat the Rockets in the first of a Prime doubleheader. Side note, Amazon Prime, impressed. Great job with the broadcast. I love the studio panel. I love the panelists. Broadcast aesthetic and sound is great. Yeah. 2 thumbs up for your Amazon Prime coverage, which is, again, what the Warriors game was on tonight. I don't know if it was exclusive. I think it was. I think you literally had to have an Amazon Prime subscription or hack the feed somehow to get access to watching tonight's game. But again, they lose this NBA Cup match in a group that, again, includes the Spurs, who again, sorry to repeat myself, beat the Rockets in the first of the doubleheader. So that's 2 of your 5 teams. Nuggets and Warriors, that's 4. And then the Portland Trailblazers, who already beat the Warriors earlier this season. That was not an NBA Cup game, but it gave you a taste of how good the Trailblazers are. So there's a very good chance that Golden State's going to finish dead last in group play. Yeah, not something to be proud of, not something to write home about, not something to feel good about. And again, there's only one thing that's going to matter this year. Will the Warriors win a championship? And I'm going to guess, especially if you're relatively new to this program, you are laughing your ass off at even the idea of the Golden State Warriors winning a title, because right now they look like the furthest thing from a legitimate contender. What was particularly discouraging were the youngsters. I don't even know who gets player of the game from this outing. It was so embarrassing. This was just a bad night. But again, when we talk about the youngsters and we focus more specifically on the 2 timeline core, it's Kuminga, Podziemski, Moses Moody. Those 3 combined for 2 first-half points. They did not show up tonight. Moses Moody just had an awesome game and sack 2 nights ago. In tonight's game, let me refresh my box score because I want to make sure what I'm looking at is correct here. Oof, Moses Moody, 2 points on the night. He did only play 19 minutes, 17 seconds. And we're going to talk about the minutes, because one thing that I'm seeing that this Warriors team desperately needs to do is shorten, aka tighten, their rotations. Too many players are playing. When you're having a game like this, and when you're in a situation where you're going to rely on your youngsters, don't be herky-jerky with their minutes. Let them play. Leave them out there for good and bad. Like enough with the 12-player, 13-player, whatever the number is, bullshit that Steve Kerr keeps trying. Why is it so bright? Enough. Like, just if the youngsters are going to crash and burn, let them crash and burn, but get some real minutes in the process. If the Warriors are going to lose, let the youngsters get 35, 40 minutes. At least let them stat pad. Shit. Moses Moody played just 19 minutes, 17 seconds. No good excuse for that. There's also no good excuse for Buddy Hield to play, period. He is a massive defensive liability. I haven't seen him. Maybe there was one game this year where he actually made some clutch buckets, meaning baskets that actually mattered and not buckets that were falling in when the team's down 20 in the second half. Like, dude, Buddy Hield is irrelevant. What is the point of playing this guy? I don't care if he's likable. I don't care if he's a veteran. I don't care if he had an unbelievable Game 7 in the first round of the playoffs last year. That was last year. In the present day, Buddy Hield is garbage. There's no excuse. Like defensively, he is without a doubt the worst player on this team defensively. He can't stay in front of anybody. He's reminding me of Ty Jerome in 2022, 2023 defensively. A turnstile, a statue, just worthless. And I sort of get it when Steph's playing in terms of us. Even Buddy, my dog Bubba Ganoush, Bubba Fett, Bubba Foofy, Bubba Booey. Even he's riled up. He got all riled up there for a second. See, he's not happy about the Buddy Hield minutes. What the hell? What is the point of playing Buddy Hield in a situation like this? Because to develop him? To give him rhythm? What are we doing here? The guy's like 32. Moses Moody had a bad night, but let him at least get experience and have a complete game with a bad night. Instead, he has an awful 19 minutes and 17 seconds, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. But the 0 of 6 shooting from deep, that was bad. He had 1 bucket, and that was a pretty nice layup. But again, 19 minutes, 17 seconds, why? Make that make sense, man. If you're going to lose, take something out of the loss. And in a situation like this, that something should be your young players getting experience. Will Richard scored 30 points last game. He was our FanDuel player of the night. What does he do tonight? Besides not showing up until 5 minutes and change to go in the first half? He plays 18 minutes, 30 seconds. Why? I'm asking the ether right now. I'm asking anyone who will listen. I wonder if I'm curious to know what Kerr's going to say after this. I wonder what cliches he's going to pull out of his bag. Nothing down the line yet in terms of anything multimedia can play for you. Who knows if usually after a game like this, I feel like it's either Steve Kerr's yelling at his team, impassioned, pissed off, or he just doesn't give a speech and they finish the game and they head out. And I don't know which version of Kerr we're going to get tonight for post game, but he's such the wrong guy for this job if he doesn't have Stephen Curry. That's a statement. That's an opinion that I wholeheartedly believe in with the utmost conviction. Just not the right man for this job when the perfect players are not there. I did figure out from looking at the box score who our player of the game should be tonight, courtesy of FanDuel, and that's Draymond Green. who hit 5 3-pointers tonight, led the Warriors in scoring tonight, was one of the only dudes that showed up. I mean, for Draymond Green to make an appearance without Steph, noteworthy enough. But 5 of 10 from deep, he was the only reason the Warriors were staying in this game. And every time Kerr made a substitution, all the momentum that he was a part of would just go poof, gone. But his stat line was, again, he led the team in scoring, 17 points, 5 of 10 shooting from deep, 6 of 12 shooting from the field total, at 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He had 3 awful turnovers. I think those were all in the first half, which I can confirm right now. And those turnovers normally would cost him. Yeah, they were all in the first half, and they were bad. They were like momentum swinging, momentum killing, depending on your perspective. They were awful. But I mean, again, he was the only guy doing even anything out there. I mean, Jimmy Butler was meh. Side note, Jimmy Butler. I want to mention one thing on his front, and it has nothing to do with actually Jimmy Butler, the individual or player, but rather one of his acquaintances. And I'll show this tweet for the audience so they can see what I'm talking about. Let me zoom in a little more before I share my screen, and I'll try to articulate myself clearly for the podcast audience. Yeah, I think we could see this here. I retweeted this as well in case you missed it. But Jimmy Butler has, I don't know what you call this person. I don't know if he's his buddy. I don't know if he's a handler. I don't know if it's a business relationship, a personal relationship. I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. Ernie. His Twitter handle is Ernie the Man, ERNNY, the Man. But he goes everywhere Jimmy Butler goes. And they've been attached to the hip for years. I don't know how they met up. Again, I don't know the full details, the intricacies, if you will, of this relationship. I'm just checking to see if anyone in the chat knows. They don't. Well, it's okay, because it is rather esoteric. I had to learn, like a lot of people did through social media, like who this guy even is. But the reason why I highlight Jimmy Butler's friend or confidant, whoever he is because if this person's tweeting something or posting something on social media, this is literally an insider providing some thoughts, right? Like if Ernie the Man is tweeting this, very likely means Jimmy Butler's thinking it. So that's what makes this very relevant and very fascinating. Ernie the Man on Twitter writes, quote, "I don't get why you wouldn't run every offensive possession through Jimmy when Steph isn't there. You can't run the same offense when you're missing the best shooter of all time. Not going to win anyways, but sheesh, it'll look better than this, LOL," unquote. And he's right. He is right. On 2 very key fronts. One, the offense is designed for Steph. When Steph isn't there, why are you still running this offense? Where is the adjustment? And 2, Jimmy Butler is the best player on this team when Stephen Curry is not available. So why isn't he running the offense? He's actually making sense. Huge surprise that someone making sense contradicts Kerr, right? Being facetious and sarcastic there, but you get my point. It's, it's just, I mean, I really hate to pile on Kerr. It's nothing. This isn't fun. I want to make that very clear. But I'm also the only one saying it repeatedly because no one else is. And so, like, if I don't say it, who's going to hold that man accountable? No one. This program is literally the only media entity out there who actually, A, sees Steve Kerr for what he is, grossly overrated, and B, who actually holds him accountable for the buffoonery. And case in point, on another night where you don't have Stephen Curry, you make multiple blunders, including playing the wrong people, no surprise there, running the same motion offense that when Steph is involved in it, it's fantastic. When Steph isn't there and the shots aren't falling, you get this. You get a game like tonight. Why did you get Jimmy Butler if you're not going to hand him the keys on nights when Steph is out? And like TFN in the chat is saying oh no, JK. Well, JK should be attacking too. He didn't have a great game either. We'll get to that in a second. I was going to say Jimmy Butler should have been attacking. But Jimmy Butler also didn't have the ball that much. I did not see any focus tonight. I didn't see any resemblance of a plan. The Warriors just literally looked like a team who went out there and were just given the same instructions they always do. Move the ball around, stand in the right place for either the split action when if it presents itself to you, or just be a decoy and wait for the right opportunity to cut. And it's just rudderless. It's directionless. It's ineffectual. But I thought that was pertinent and interesting. But going back to the youngsters, and Jimmy Butler, by the way, real fast, I'll finish up with his stat line. He played 30 minutes, 33 seconds. Draymond played 25 minutes, 42 seconds, in case I missed that. Jimmy Butler finishing 5 of 10 from the field. He had 3 3-point attempts, missed all 3. They were mostly forced, end of the shot clock type shots, rushed. I don't think any of those shots were a preferred decision. Meaning Jimmy Butler never looks comfortable shooting threes to begin with. It's not part of his game. Sometimes we'll put him up because, he's left wide open or it's opportune. Tonight, they were just forced because there was nothing else going on offensively. There were no other options. No one else was open. Opportunities weren't there. So Jimmy Butler had 3 3-point attempts, missed all 3 of them, did have 7 free throw attempts, and hit 6 of 7. Jimmy Butler was the only starter to have a free throw attempt. And when I discussed Jonathan Kuminga, that's one of many issues with him tonight. He was far from perfect. Far from perfect. This is like one of Kuminga's, outside of the rebounds, one of his worst games. And when Jonathan Kuminga is not getting free throw attempts, that's a problem. That is your evidence right there. He's not being aggressive. But Jimmy Butler added 3 rebounds, 3 assists, added a steal. Draymond Green, side note, a -10 in net rating. Jimmy Butler, a -20. Jimmy was second on the team tonight in scoring with 16 points. But the young core, again, I mentioned this a moment ago, 2 first-half points for all 3 of them combined. Moody, Podziemski, Kuminga. 2 points between all 3 of them at the end of the first half. And the game really was over at that point. The score at the end of the first half was 66-49. Denver had all the momentum. The Warriors were shooting just 35% from deep at that point. Only had 2 trips to the free throw line at that point. Meanwhile, they also had 8 turnovers in the first half, and they were costly. They resulted in 17 Denver points, meaning pretty much, maybe literally every turnover resulted in points. I mean, the math seems to add up. I mean, if every turnover resulted in a field goal, that's 16 right there. You toss in a 3 somewhere, and bam, 17. Maybe give or take 1 possession, but that's ugly. And transition buckets are easy to get. That's why if you ever hear someone say in basketball, defense leads to offense, it's because when you're pushing the ball, when you have the ball as a team and you're running a fast break, that's what the transition is. The defense is on its heels. They can't set up. They can't position themselves to be prepared for whatever it is you're going to attack them with. So they are on their heels. Their head is on a swivel, just trying to keep up. And Denver took full advantage of that. At the end of the first half, Denver shot 60% from deep. You are not beating a team who's shooting above 50% from deep, let alone 60. And the Nuggets, side note, finished this game tonight shooting 48.5% from deep. It was over 50 almost the entire night. I'm guessing the last 6 minutes or so, I was not paying much attention, and something tells me that's when a few missed three-pointers came at that point. I mean, Jonas Valanciunas started this game 2 for 2 from 3. He is not a three-point shooter, folks. It was that kind of night. But again, the turnovers, the bad shot attempts offensively led to all these transition buckets, all these fast break situations. The Warriors defense never stood a shot. And you know, if you're going to point a finger, I've already mentioned a bunch of people, but going back to the core three of the second timeline of the youngsters, Kuminga, Podziemski, Moody, 2 points in the first half. They finished this game between the three of them. Kuminga has 6 points. Podziemski has 7 points. Moody has 2 points. All three of them were bad. Hell, awful. And the thing is, with youth, you're going to get games like that. It's par for course. They're young. That's why you want them to play as much as possible to gain experience, to learn from mistakes, so that in situations like these, when you need them because your best player, Stephen Curry's out, maybe they won't look like utter shit like tonight. Let's bring in the professor, Armando Lara. Good to see you, brother. How are you doing? Why are you so late? What's going on with you, man? What are you doing? Good to see you.
I was watching the Warriors at a bar in Oakland tonight. So I wanted to see what the real fans are talking about with this team.
Yes.
Not this ridiculous stuff I hear on the telecasts.
And social media, right? Which does not reflect reality. It never does. What did you sense from the people in the bar? And by the way, people can follow you on threads at Mando_man10. You host the Spreewell Was Right column and podcast and YouTube channel. You're a professor at UC Berkeley. That summarizes your background in a nutshell. What bar were you at in Oakland tonight, if you feel comfortable naming it? And what was the vibe in the bar scene, brother?
Man, I was at Aloha Club in Fruitvale, East Oakland. A lot of, on a Friday night, people at 7 p.m. who are spending their Friday nights watching the game. That means they're fans. And, it's, what are we doing, man? Like, the time is now. It's you got to fire the coach now. It's now or it's too late.
It's not going to happen though, right? I mean, then
it's too late.
Sense, but it's not going to happen. So good suggestion, but realistically, we got to talk about other things because otherwise we're just screaming to the skies. He's not going to go anywhere. At least not this year. I do not see any chance of him getting fired this year, Armando. Do you think there is a possibility that Lacob would make a change in the season?
Absolutely. He's a lamed up coach. NBA history tells us it's absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. I personally think so.
I mean,
it's about to get dark. It's about to get dark. It's about to get dark, Pat. It's about to get real dark.
Look, tonight, you and I have been teasing for a long time doing an episode, and maybe tonight's the night. And that episode was going to focus on what happens if the Warriors look old. Like if the age of their core catches up to them, right? Like what happens then? And we've been teasing this since the offseason. You've been criticizing the decision by the Warriors to sign Al Horford. Your criticism looks very accurate right now. It looks very valid because let's real quick start there with Al Horford because again, you were ripping that signing. I was far more optimistic than you. I said from the beginning this is not ideal. I had a whole list of other players I would have selected ahead of him. He doesn't bring much athleticism. He's all about IQ, spacing, maybe, even though the last game I wasn't there, contrary to Steve Kerr saying he was great. Al Horford was great. He had like 0 points, defensive liability, looked old. He was great. That's what Steve Kerr kept saying. He was unreal. And I know you saw that as well because we talked about it. But Al Horford, to me, if you're going to play him, isn't tonight like a night where he's supposed to show up? Like, why was he even DNP'd? I didn't get that part of it at all. Like, if you did not spend your taxpayer mid-level exception on a center to play him against Nikola Jokic, because who else are you going to play against them? Everyone else we saw tonight outside of Draymond were just exposed. Like, no one stood a chance defending Jokic. I thought that's what Al Horford was for. And when the Warriors won that game, he was a huge part of it. He's DNP'd tonight. That made no sense to me. What did you think about that? Maybe you liked it. I don't know, but discuss that if you don't mind.
Yeah, I could talk about Al Horford, the 6 games he's played. I could talk about what the media is saying about him. My opinion, this game, and I do want to talk about this game and the what I've seen from the first 10 games. They would have lost even more if they had played Al Horford. Al Horford is not an NBA playable player. His shooting is his least worst quality. His cement feet is worse than Kevon Looney. Just look at his feet when he's guarding the pick and roll. Everybody's talking about why these little guards are blowing us up. It's because they're attacking the weak spots. They're actually more competitive when he sits. That Denver game that everybody's citing, that 1 of 6 games. Denver was chilling. Jokic, he was just not into that game. It was pretty clear, and they took us to overtime, and it took a Steph legend game to pull that out. Anybody, this whole plan that's in the media, like, oh, we just need to manage Horford's minutes to get him to the playoffs, and he's suddenly going to become the Phoenix Rising in the playoffs to save us. Like, he's going to play center for 30 minutes and just dominate and shoot threes. Like, think about how stupid that is. That's so stupid.
All right, long was needed there just because you're right.
If he plays 20 minutes in a Western Conference playoff game, like, do you know, first of all, do you know how poorly we're going to lose those minutes and how injured he'll be after 20 minutes in a Western Conference playoff game? Like, the entire media, like, I'll give you guys a pass who kind of were like into him, but like, to this day, Tim Bontemps was on national media with Anthony Slater today talking about, he said, and I quote, "It's not as bad as you think it is, because if he had just hit one more 3 in the every game of his 6 games, he would go from shooting 20% from 3 to 50%. So it's not as bad if you think about it." That's an actual quote from a media member. And he was saying, I've been watching Al Horford for a decade, and, he's a winner. Some of these idiots in the chat say the same thing. And it's like, he cannot play center. And this was known last year. The NBA buried this guy last year. The scouting was out. Your franchise signed a buried player who got sent to retirement for 2 years. And I'm telling you, I have no qualms in saying I am the only person who said that in the summertime. And it's true now. It ain't going to get better. This is the freshest he's going to be all year long. So, oh
my God.
There's no, like, so that's what about Al Horford. But I want to talk about this game, and I want to talk about the 10 games, and I want to talk about how right Sprewell was, because it is ridiculous. 100% of the things I predicted in the summer have come true. 100%, not even 99%, 100%. So we could talk
Young
about
West
it.
is asking, why are we talking about Horford? He's 40 and won't play a lot this year.
Yes,
Because the
exactly.
Warriors gave him the taxpayer mid-level. He's not getting a veteran minimum to play. They gave him the special extra amount of money. They could have only spent that on one, or I guess they could have divvied it up. But typically those go to just one player. And of all the guys they could have selected for a team that literally is the shortest in the NBA, they spend it on Al Horford. And on a night like this, where you're playing a team with Nikola Jokic, who just he did not even look like he was trying tonight. Jokic's stat line side note: 26 points on 12 of 15 shooting, adds 9 rebounds, 9 assists, so just 1 rebound and a 1 dish shy of a triple double. And then the other big, Aaron Gordon, who was relatively speaking kept in check. Was still 3 of 5 from deep, finished with 18 points, only 3 rebounds. That's a little surprising. But I mean, my point is, Al Horford was signed, I thought, for games like these. I thought he was signed to finally give the Warriors some size. And why is he DNP tonight? I didn't get that. That's why I'm talking about him right now. And also because, again, Armando, you made that a very specific point of contention in terms of the Warriors offseason.
People like that, it's a moving goalpost. It's like Pod sucks ass. Well, he's not a starter. He's a bench player. It's like, no. This is the guy we invested 35 minutes a game building to the playoffs last year. Horford is just a 40-year-old guy. Like, what do you expect? No. They built the entire offseason predicated on this guy being the savior. The coach literally is on record saying this guy is athletic, high IQ, can play D, and will be our starting center guy. I don't know what they saw. I don't know, and they're saying the same thing about Melton now. You guys are all putting your hopes into Melton, but I'm about to, you guys give me some time here. I'm going to go in on Melton too. And I'm sorry, man. You don't move the goalposts. You don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to say these are your guys. These are the guys you go to war with, and then come around their suck ass and say, no, just don't call triple double, don't call a double dribble on a guy who's on a little kid. It's you don't get to move the goalposts. So that's what that comment is to me.
And someone in the chat said he was actually injured, and I'm trying to find the injury report reflecting yesterday. I only see the most recent one, which is for tomorrow morning. And the box score just doesn't even have his name on it, which is kind of weird. It was just not available. Yes, some people are saying foot injury, whatever. It's okay. So he has a foot injury. Great. So you wasted that slot that you could just use it on.
Let's talk about these injuries.
A recollection of all the other options that were available out there they could have signed instead. We dedicated a whole show to. There were this was the off season where you had a lot of choices. I do remember that. The one guy I kept looking at was Chris Boucher, the Boston Celtics. I thought he would have been perfect. He knows the system. His rookie season, playing mostly in Santa Cruz. Another thing that I still don't understand is why Seth Curry was the sacrificial lamb. They could have used him. They could use him. I'd much rather see Seth Curry over Buddy Hield. I'd much rather see Seth Curry than Cam Spencer. I'd much rather see Seth Curry than GP2, who I know only played a garbage time tonight, but still, there are a lot of people. If Moses Moody, if you're only going to play him 19 minutes, I'd rather see Seth get the rest of those minutes, but he's not going to be available for who knows. I mean, we'll see if anybody even asked Kerr, the front office, about that. D'Anthony Melton, again, the one critique that I kind of get is durability. We saw what he was doing the beginning of last season. You're skeptical about D'Anthony Melton altogether. Even if he's healthy, you don't think that's going to be a beneficial addition?
Not with our coach, no.
Oh, the coach. Okay. Well, let me yeah.
So let's talk about these injuries for a second. It's driving me nuts hearing people say, "Oh, Steph Curry was unhealthy today, so that's what's up. Jimmy Butler has a bad back, that's what's up." Or Horford was injured. That's why he didn't suit up. So, chat, the last few weeks I've been using this phrase. And I think I need to explain it because I don't think I'm not sure if it came across correctly. And the phrase is injuries are a feature of our system, not a bug. And I just want to take a moment to explain that a little bit. That's a term that you hear when you talk about organizations. And it means a bug is like a something that random happens. It's something that occasionally happens that's happenstance and you don't expect it. When something's a feature, it's common to the system. It's built into the system. Injuries and old guys having to take time off and having to build up stamina and burning stamina against the worst teams in the league like the Phoenix Suns just to get through that game is a feature of the system we've built, not a bug. These injuries will keep happening. It's going to be the story of the season. We cannot, as I said all summer, we are in the Western Conference gauntlet. And this is the coach and the path that we've chosen.
It's a shitty path. And there wasn't Al Horford was listed as out because of a foot, nothing more specified. And whatever. Two players we got to talk about, Armando, in great detail because they had awful nights. I feel like you could have a competition for who was worst. Although to me, it's obvious the worst was Podziemski, but Kuminga and Podziemski had terrible nights. These two players are considered the future of the Warriors. And look, part of me just thought they just were bad. Like they were like on Kuminga's part. I thought he was trying to be too much of a facilitator early on. One thing that no one likes to talk about with Kuminga when Steph is out is what I think is a factual statement, which is opposing defenses. Their focus is entirely on Kuminga when Steph is gone. Like he's easily the most dangerous offensive threat on this team with Steph out. And so that makes life tough when the entire defense has their eyes on you, when they're trapping every time he's getting ready to penetrate. Like they've done the scouting report on Kuminga. Like he's incredibly impressive attacking. He's fast. He's strong. And so they've scouted him in terms of like where he likes to bring the ball, whether it's up or down. And so you see, and most of the time he's being very wise and creative with that to either draw fouls, which side note, officials are not blowing the whistle like they have been in previous years with Kuminga. A lot of non-calls, man. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why that is not more of a talking point. So you're seeing some turnovers there, but on a night like this, early on, again, every time we saw him trying to find a lane to penetrate, there is that second defender, like just right behind the primary assigned defender on Kuminga, preparing for that double. And so Kuminga sensed that early, and I'm guessing that's why the lack of aggression was there. But he's gonna have to get used to this because when Steph's out, who else on the Warriors scares people, right? Offensive, like no one. Like maybe Jimmy Butler, but he's not fast. Like he's just a very creative individual playmaker that rarely, if ever, draws doubles. But Kuminga, like you see teams focusing defensively on him. It's why the Kings game was even more impressive that he pulled off the 24 points, 9 boards tonight. I still wish he was far more aggressive. I'm not defending Kuminga at all. This was a bad game, plain and simple. The box score backs it up. 26 minutes, 50 seconds of play. Side note, why just 26 and 50? I don't understand why Kuminga, Moody are not routinely, consistently getting like the bulk of the minutes. 26 minutes and 50 seconds, that's barely over half the game. Like, why is Kuminga just playing 26 minutes and 50 seconds? That's also a huge reason why I don't like looking at this box score to judge a lot of people on this Warriors team because they don't play enough for these stats to reflect the truth. That's always been the issue with Kuminga when it comes to numbers, especially when you compare his numbers to his per 36. Per 36 averages out a player's stats if they actually played a full 36 minutes. You rarely, if ever, see that with Jonathan Kuminga, because Steve Kerr is an absolute moron in the way he's handled this kid, and still is a complete putz in the way he handles this kid in his minutes. But it just was not a good night for him. He was 0 of 2 from deep, had 0 trips to the free throw line, and that again is the evidence. I mentioned this earlier in terms of why I thought he just was not attacking the paint nearly as much as he should have been. But he did have 7 boards in those 26 minutes, 50 seconds. He did still have 3 assists, which matches Brandon Podziemski's night. And Podziemski, to me, was considerably worse, largely because of the defense. But we'll talk about Podziemski in a second here. Kuminga finishes with 6 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. The rebounds, by the way, tied for the team lead tonight with Trayce Jackson-Davis. So at least he was doing something out there. A minus 19 in net rating, but 3 of 10 shooting from the field. That's just not okay, period. 30% as your field goal percentage is not acceptable. Not a good night from Kuminga. But again, I ask in the same way with Moses Moody, awful night, but he only played 19 minutes and 17 seconds. Moses Moody should be playing 36 minutes. Kuminga should be playing 36 minutes. I would have even been okay with Podziemski playing 36 minutes. If Steph is not there, these are your guys. I'm getting very exhausted with these 12-man rotations. Steve Kerr, the master scientist, the mad scientist, he's not brilliant. So every time, all these experiments he's doing, they're not productive because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's just not a bright person. I'm sorry to burst that bubble for a lot of you, but he's not. He just is not someone who I'm guessing you could have a deep philosophical conversation with. And I've spoken to enough people behind the scenes who have tried to have these conversations with Steve Kerr. And what Steve Kerr normally does in these scenarios, which is mind-blowing to me, is he acquiesces, right? He'll hear someone make another point to him, pushing back on something he's done. He'll listen to it and agree with it, and then pretend he was doing it the whole time. That is the Steve Kerr MO, right? Massive ego. He in his mind, he thinks these 4 championships were largely because of him. Asinine, man. Like the longer Steve Kerr is the head coach of the Warriors, the more of a Bill Belichick vibe I get from this guy. Like someone who thinks he's responsible for bringing success and a dynasty to the Warriors, just like Belichick thought he was responsible for 6 Super Bowls, and it took Tom Brady leaving and winning number 7 in Tampa for that bubble to burst. Like Kerr is just the frustration never ceases, man. I count down the days for a new head coach to come here so we can have a semblance of sanity again, running things. But the way he handles these youngsters with the minutes, the lack of consistency with the rotations, case in point, in terms of him having 0 instinct or feel for the game, are the substitutions itself. Case in point, first quarter of the Warriors-Kings game. Jonathan Kuminga had a red-hot start, in case you folks forgot. And what does Steve Kerr do? Pulls him at the 6-minute mark in the middle of a heater. And that's not the first time he's done that. He's done that with Stephen Curry a lot, and it's even drawn Curry's frustration in the past when he's done that, because he has all these things scripted. He has no feel for the game as it's happening live. And tonight, when Kuminga's not on a heater to start the game, this would have been a good night to pull him at the 6-minute mark, give him a few minutes to sit down and calm down and reflect. But on tonight, when Kuminga's not on fire out there, naturally you see Kuminga stay out there for the first 9-10 minutes of this game. He cannot react in real time. Like Steve Kerr, the only way he is succeeding as a coach is after a game, he has his conference with his assistants or wherever he's talking to in terms of strategy, veterans included, and then he adapts. And so the adjustments come over 24 to 48 hours. He has no feel for real-time action. And you see that with the lack of real-time adjustments. The adjustments that he's ever made in his life that people reflect on and go, oh, that was brilliant. They were like macro-type decisions, like making Andre Iguodala a 6th man, making Draymond Green a starter when David Lee went down. Like Like they're not in game, like real time, up to the second type adjustments that need to be made in game, like tonight in a game like this, where Kuminga should not have played the first 9-10 minutes. Tonight was a good night where you feel it out. He's not playing great. Pull him after 6. But no, tonight he lets him run the first 9-10 minutes. Kings game, you see Kuminga start the game on fire, plays 5-6 minutes, smoking hot, and he just pulls him because he's got a stupid-ass script. The dude thinks he's Bill Walsh. You're not Bill Walsh. You're not a genius. And that is one of many problems I see with Steve Kerr in terms of how he handles rotations, players, minutes, and so forth. What was your take tonight? I'll shut up now. In regards to Jonathan Kuminga, again, a relatively bad night against the Nuggets.
Yeah, those are interesting points, Si. Let's talk about. I'm gonna talk about Kuminga and Moses Moody together. So they kind of had rough games. You brought up the coach and all this. And I'm going to talk about how he was used offensively, Kuminga and Moody. And but I want to start with this. Chat, if I told you that I was going to start 3 connectors, one guy who's not allowed to attack and shoot mid-range shots, and a 4th guy who can rapid fire shoot, what do you think was going to happen? It's pretty obvious what was going to happen if you start that lineup. And Denver knows how to play this team. You know, that first game, they were just real
quick. Sorry to interrupt you, Armando. Real quick, just to address just this dipshit here next Fiesta saying I blame Kerr because he doesn't play JK. Now you mad because he does. He didn't play him enough. He played him 26 minutes. So no, it is a consistent criticism. And Kuminga played 26 minutes, 50 seconds. I am sick and tired of the best players on this team not getting appropriate minutes. Moses Moody, even on a night like this, that's awful. 19 minutes, 17 seconds, inexcusable. Jonathan Kuminga, one of your best players, period. 26 minutes, 50 seconds, inexcusable. So enough with the bullshit gaslighting comments like that. It is a consistent criticism next Fiesta. Go ahead, Armando. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's okay. You know, Denver knows what's up. Denver knows Jimmy's trying to connect. We have a $53 million connector. He's like a top 5 highest paid player in the league. We have Podziemski, who's not looking at the rim at all. You guys notice how Pods actually does pretty well when he gets thrown hand grenades against the shot clock, but he actually misses wide open shots that are created for him. That's actually a thing. I'm sure they track that. That's why they was telling him to be aggressive. And why do you think Draymond hit 5 threes? Like, that's the offense that Steve Kerr has. That is your elite 4-ring coach. It's Draymond Green chucking threes. Like, Denver knows, like, okay, Kuminga has to attack, but he's not allowed to take mid-ranges. And the only guy we actually need to guard is Moses Moody. We need to actually stick our best defender on him and keep him from launching threes. So, like, it's no surprise to me. And I was thinking about a couple
real
things.
Quick, Armando, come up in the chat saying you forgot about Draymond. Watch the show from the beginning, please. We already named him the FanDuel player of the game. So sorry to interrupt, but the chat, look, man, nights like these, read the room and keep in mind, like, be aware of who the host is. So, meaning, don't be disrespectful to the people talking to the microphones. If you're going to be a dick, we're going to get rid of you. There's no point in keeping you around. All right, plain and simple. Be a dick and you're out. It's not complicated. And on a night like this, if you're going to try to push buttons, if you're going to gaslight, you're out. Okay, no patience for the ignoramuses and the assholes in our chat tonight. So I just want to make that very clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to finish my thought, but real quick, Draymond Green has to play like the MVP player that he can be, you know, in order for this team to win. And he can't do it. He don't got it like that night in and night out. That's why he's getting tired out of Phoenix. The Phoenix game affected tonight. So I want to say 2 things about Kuminga when he drives. So do you notice the plays when he's at the top of the key and the shot clock's winding down and the stupid motion offense doesn't get them jack shit because the team knows exactly what's coming, the opposing team. and he has to break his man down, and the defender knows he's not allowed to take step back threes, so he has to get his man into a dribble post up at the free throw line, kind of that Dirk Nowitzki spot, and he dribbles into it, and then he has to spin on it. And then what I notice in those moments, the coach has not prepared the team at all for those moments. And it'll be Pods or Buddy Hield at the top of the 3-point line, and their man doubles off Pods or Buddy Hield on the top side to take away JK's turnaround spin that he has to make. And so he's just passing it out to a guy at the top of the key, and there's no offense there. It's hard for people to think because they only watch things in a vacuum. Like, there's another way to do that. There's another way to actually do iso ball. Right now, I don't know if you guys have been watching. I don't know if you guys know the Miami Heat. They installed some of the offense that Memphis was running last year with Ja Morant. And it's kind of like not doing pick and rolls. It is a dribble drive offense. Just beat your man off the dribble. But if the man attacks to the left, the entire team rotates one man down. So the guy on the left corner rotates across to the other corner. The guy in the corner rotates up. If he drives to the right, it's the reverse. So that there's always a flow when the man's driving. So think about that in contrast to what Steve Kerr has going on here for Jonathan Kuminga. The second thing I want to say about Jonathan Kuminga's performance today, he actually did create a lot of shots.
Mm-hmm.
He actually did beat his man and draw numerous doubles. And he would pass it to Jimmy Butler, who would pass it to Pods, and Pods would pass it back to JK with low seconds on the shot clock. And it's pretty obvious to me that when you play three guys, and one who's the top 5 player in the league, and a fourth guy who is not allowed to get it in. He does not have a green light. He does not. He cannot get his man off balance because he only has one shot available to him, which are layups. That's what was going to happen. That first Denver game, like, Steph had a legend game, and that wasn't a hero game. That was a legend game. And, DeJounte Murray was not prepared to play. He was just finding his legs, and Jokic was hitting 3-pointers, and they took us to overtime. Like, you guys see wins. I look at the play, and I look at what it's saying, even in a win. And so, that's what I have to say about JK and Moses Moody about tonight.
A couple of things in the chat here I want to get to real fast. In pertaining to the topic, the real Elise saying Kuminga's passing too much. I wonder why. My guess would be he's trying to make his coach happy, so he doesn't lose minutes. And I feel like with each night, you're just seeing this guy think too much. You're seeing him not listen to his instincts. I mean, the good news is him passing as much as he does is developing that part of his game in real time. I think big picture.
There's nobody to pass to.
Well, and then there's that ball. Yes.
You're passing.
And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, Armando, who else? Just like you said, like defenses are squaring up on him because no one else is a threat. Draymond Green was 5 of 10 from deep tonight. Every one of those 10 3-point attempts were wide open. Wide open. No one challenges Draymond Green's 3-point attempts. No one challenges Brandon Podziemski seriously. Like, when someone's defending Podziemski, they've got one eye on who else is out there because they're just not that afraid of him. Moses Moody is a threat, actually. But again, he only played 19 minutes, and regardless of how bad he's shooting, people will respect him. Buddy Hield plays because of the spacing that he generates, but he's so awful at actually playing that the spacing is becoming more and more irrelevant. And Jimmy Butler, again, is a very, very much an ISO player who at this stage of his career is relying so much on IQ and savvy and creativity far more than athleticism. I can't recall a single Jimmy Butler dunk this year, and we're 10 games in. I mean, he's getting his points and his numbers mostly from free throws and mid-range jumpers, layups. So you're absolutely right. And the people in the chat, there's a couple people in the chat that are again jumping to an irrational, illogical conclusion that Kuminga can't shoot, or that Kuminga doesn't have that dog in him. I heard one person say that. First of all, again, he had 24 points and 9 boards in that sack game. All I saw in that sack game was someone who has all the talent and the dog in him. Tonight was a different story, but again, defenses are literally squaring up on him. That's also a huge reason why he's passing so much, because he doesn't want to keep getting doubled and turn the ball over. But who's helping? Who else is scoring? When Steph's around, Steph masks a lot of issues for this team, and when he's not there, it's an issue. And going back to the chat, I want to in dreams 159 saying it's time for me to face the fact that this team has absolutely no chance of making the playoffs. Never mind the title. Again, look, I'm not going to come to massive conclusions or judgments following games that Steph doesn't even play in. We have no idea what's going to happen between now and April. Melton hasn't played yet. Seth hasn't played yet. This team will very likely make a move if the trajectory continues. Let's say January rolls around and we see this same shit. And come trade deadline, they're a 500 team looking out in the postseason. They're going to make a move. You're going to see something, whether that's a center. I don't know what that move could be, but I'm far from coming to conclusions. And in dreams, while you might be right, I'm certainly not ready to go to a point to say that it's over, that everything's cooked. I want to play the soundbite of Draymond Green. Dre was asked after the game. This is courtesy of Sam Gordon of the San Francisco Chronicle. Side note: the show he was on the other night was awesome. A good appearance, even if he mostly just repeated Steve Kerr talking points, but still, at least he took the time out and did provide some great insights. And this is from his cell phone, so turn the volume up on your devices, please, and let's listen to Draymond Green explain to the media, to the audience, what exactly is going wrong with this team. I think Draymond keeps focusing on defense. Let's hear what he has to say.
I think our defense hasn't been great, and when you have as many letdowns, body language drops, effort drops. So I think the two are connected in some way, shape, or form.
I guess with regards to the defense and the issues you're having, what are you seeing with regards to the breakdowns?
We're not taking one-on-one matchups personal. We have not been a great help side team. We're not on the string. Defense must move on the string. We're not doing none of that.
What's the first step to doing that?
Number one is taking the challenge, personal challenge. Take the personal challenge to guard your man. Then if you get beat, there's help. But I think right now we're just relying on the help to be there. But when you don't give effort, then help can't get there. So starts individually. Everybody must take the challenge individually to guard their man, and then you build out from there.
Armando, what are your thoughts on Draymond Green calling out his teammates, saying they're not accepting the challenge of one-on-one defense? I don't disagree with him. Side note, what do you think about that?
Oh yes, this is the main problem. Everything I've talked about today has literally just been about the offense, but he's not just talking about tonight. And I've seen this in the wins. While everybody's being happy with the wins, I'm sitting there shaking my head like a old lady looking at her son staying out too late. It's really, really bad. And it's I hate to say it, just watching this league so long, like when your vets and your team is talking about, we just need to play harder. when you're to that level and then you're actively saying it's affecting our body language, you're already behind the ball. So the thing is, they're playing 4-on-5 with Podziemski on defense, and sometimes they're playing 3-on-5 with Al Horford on the court. Even in limited minutes. So in was it the Indiana game or the Bucks game? Which he played which game did he play?
Who?
Al Horford. I think it was Indiana he played. I can't remember.
He played the second one.
The second one, yeah.
Yeah. It was Indiana, correct.
He came in for literally 90 seconds in the fourth quarter, and our lead went from 10 points to 2 points in those 90 seconds. And it's not, as I've been talking to you guys about and by the way, we were up 10 in Indiana because we played 2 guards with Will Richards at shooting guard and Guy Santos. We were up by 10. This whole thing is about 3 guards. So
or 4 sometimes. I mean the last game, Armando, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about the fact that in the Kings loss, we were seeing lineups with Podziemski, Buddy Hield, and side note, Abraham DeLeon in our chat, whose opinion, with the exception of Buddy Hield, I've always tremendously respected. I don't know why you've gone so MIA on us, but I will pick on Buddy Hield because I don't think at this point he should be playing. Period. I don't see the point in Buddy Hield getting minutes right now. And I don't. And if you think he does deserve them, explain why. Considering defensively, he's a turnstile. I actually have studied complete film from 2 games now this season, real film that a video coordinator would produce for the team, because I incredibly got access to it and was fascinated to watch it. Buddy Hield is the hands down number 1 problem with the defense. Every player he defends blows by him. He's routinely just out of place. His footwork is sloppy. He's tripping over his own feet half the time. All players have to do is just cross over, not even through their legs, just doop, doop, doop. And he's just lost, man. He's on skates, just trying to stay on his feet and not fall on his ass. Buddy Hield's defense is atrocious this year. And if he's lighting it up offensively, all right, at least you're making up somewhat there, but he's not lighting it up offensively. His points tonight were mostly in garbage time. He was bricking those shots in the first half. But going back to that Kings game, there was a lineup. It was Podziemski, Buddy Hield, GP2, and Will Richard, who I hesitate mentioning because he actually played well in that game. But last I checked, Will Richard's a guard. That's a 4-guard lineup. And in case you're wondering, why does it matter that lineup played in the Kings game? Because they played together in the third quarter when the Warriors lost the lead and never got it back. Steve Kerr's he's a lunatic. It's his lack of recognition for size. Although tonight was really crazy. Did you notice when Quinn Post and Trace Jackson Davis actually shared the court together in the second quarter?
It was beautiful. That was the only time they were winning. It was against Denver's bench. It was against Denver's bench, but it was good. Yeah. It
was I had it in my notes. I'm curious to know what I wrote about that. So 0, here's what I have in my notes. I talked about how Steve Kerr has 0 feel for live in-game situations. Case in point, the way he handled Kuminga in the first quarter tonight versus the Kings game. My notes had Will Richard not playing at all until the back half of the second quarter. Why? Right? Why is Buddy Hield playing over Will Richard? Makes no effing sense. Aaron Gordon had 10 first quarter points. Draymond Green had 2 of his ugly turnovers in that first quarter. That didn't help things. The core second timeline, again, Podziemski, Kuminga, Moody, 0 first quarter points, 2 first half points collectively. And we haven't even talked about Podziemski yet. There was the Warriors, and this is, I think, what you're talking about here. The Warriors started the second quarter, and I can back this up with the play-by-play stats, on a 10-0 run. And that 10-0 run, I'm guessing, is when Quentin Post and Trace Jackson Davis were on the floor together. And I'll confirm that in just a second. But It wasn't awful. I thought Quentin Post had a good game, actually. He was draining a lot of really tough threes. I just wish Quentin Post was consistent, because you'll have games like this from him. And side note, why did he only play 19 minutes, 41 seconds when he was one of the team's best players? Ask Steve Kerr, because he's the only one making those decisions. Quentin Post, perfect 6 of 6 from the field, perfect 2 of 2 from beyond the arc, 3 rebounds in this game, adding an assist as well. 14 points in 19 minutes, but he only played 19 minutes. Why?
Well, the reason Quentin Post doesn't play more, and he should, it's because he can't be on the floor with Podziemski. I think the coaching staff knows that. Other
Good
teams,
point.
the scouting report is, okay, if Pods and Quentin Post are on the floor together, just get them in a pick and roll, and it's a layup or open 3. You know, pick and roll defense is a team defense thing, and if you have a weak spot, it's easy. The offense is resting while they're running that. They don't have to try hard. And we have to help and recover, like Draymond was saying, and that burns our legs. That's why we miss shots. Denver shot 60% from the 3 in the first half. They normally shoot like 30%. And like it's literally what I've been saying for over a year now. It's just the 3 guards. I went on a rant last week about how we watch defense. It's about comfort level and how much fatigue the offense is using to get that shot off. It's not about whether it goes in or not. And teams use 0 fatigue to score on us. And we are trying our asses off to run a motion offense and burning our guys into dust.
Yes.
It's all about fatigue level. It's literally the way we watch games. It's like every player has a fatigue meter, you know, like when you play a fighting game and you have to use it and it goes down, it goes down, it goes down. Like we're burning the nitrous oxide on both ends every time down. And, you know, defensively, like Pods, Buddy Hield can't play. They don't shoot well enough within the flow of offense to justify it. They have to be like Kyle Korver level shooters to be on the court. And they're not. I don't care. You know, it doesn't matter what Buddy Hield's historical stats are. He don't got it like that. Teams don't respect it like that. And I wouldn't. And, you know, we got guys to play. We got guys that could get it in. You know, everyone's talking about Will Richards. He's great when he plays shooting guard. He looks great. That's why he's getting it off. Yeah. But we play him at small forward, and it's ruining his career, just like they ruined Podziemski's career. Pods ain't playing for any other team. He's not getting signed anywhere. And, you know, we have Guy Santos just sitting right there. Dude could shoot. Dude has size. And if you play him with Moses Moody and TJD, that's pressure on the rim. That's athletes. That is the youth you need to keep up with the Western Conference gauntlet. You know, 100% of Horford's minutes should be taken by TJD. 80% of Pods' minutes should be taken by Moses Moody and Will Richards. It's easy to see. Anybody who disagrees is in gumdrop lane, is taking the fairy dust, listening only to stupid ass Fitz and Buki. So, you know, like it ain't you know, it ain't loser ball no more. It's moron ball. It's straight up moron ball. You know, and I think Post is real deadly, and it's okay for him to be out there and miss shots. Like, he just needs to play. The problem is you can't have him out there with 3 guards, man.
Yeah.
You know, like you always look at these in combo.
Or 4.
Yeah, 4.
It's asinine. It is asinine. By the way, and never mind. Remember 2 years ago, the Golden State Warriors led the NBA in rebounding, and then after the season, that same year, they did not make the playoffs. That was the year they lost the play into the Kings. Klay Thompson's 0 for 10 game, sealing his fate with the Warriors. That same season, they led the NBA in rebounding. Steve Kerr, after the year, telling the media, maybe I should rethink us focusing so much on rebounding because of how much energy it saps from our team, all the effort we put in to get these boards. It might be affecting us offensively. For those who have not played basketball most of your life, and you may or may not be familiar with this idea, the first thing that is affected in your game when you're tired is your shot. Like, shots don't fall as easily when you're tired. It's a huge reason why in the postseason, in the NBA playoffs, you see scores going down and you see shooting percentages plummet, because by that point in the year, man, everyone's just beat. They're tapped, and the intensity is only picking up. It's harder to get shots to fall. There's less touch on the ball when you're exhausted, and that's a huge reason why size is important, because a bigger player gives you easy buckets. They don't waste as much energy for boards, for blocks, for scores. And in this game tonight, by the way, we saw that experiment in the first quarter. It was at the 4:56 mark of quarter one. Quentin Post entered the game for Jimmy Butler. The Warriors were trailing 18-6 at that point. Both Post and Trace Jackson Davis come in the game. And there was 4:56 remaining in the first quarter, and they stayed on the floor together for the entirety of that run. So they played 4 minutes 56 and 56 seconds together in the first quarter. And during that time, again, the score went from 18-6 to 32-21. So they almost broke even net rating wise. It was basically a +1 with those two together on the floor. Why not try that again? How many times do we see something in the first half that actually looks good, only for Kerr to never go back to it in the second half? That happens all the time.
Dude, after that Pacers game, when he had Pods, Will Richards, Guy Santos, I think Jimmy and Dre, I think in the top of the fourth quarter, and they were up by 10 on the Pacers. Literally after the game, he praised that lineup. And he's the one who's always talking about combinations.
Yeah.
And he was praising the individual play of Will Richards and Guy Santos. But he's the one who's talking about combos. And he's never run that bench unit since. That bench unit has positional size. Pods has positional size as a point guard. Will Richards has positional size as a shooting guard. Guy Santos has positional size as a small forward. Jimmy don't. I don't know why. Jimmy's a effing shooting guard playing power forward.
Well, and Theodore Irvin, Armando in the chat, bringing up this important point from the start of the game. Jimmy Butler at the beginning of tonight's game was defensively matched up on Aaron Gordon, a player that has 3 to 4 inches, has probably 50 plus pounds, utter mismatch. And yet, literally intentionally, that's what Steve Kerr rolls with. Just another example of the lack of.
I don't want to get dark on you guys, because I'm actually keeping it pretty nice. This is like the nice side on the Warriors for me. Like, you guys do not know what me and my cousins are talking about. It's getting dark, man. We're like, we've seen these back flare-ups in the NBA that could get bad real quick. Is that a nerve issue, or is that a little spasm? I mean, we're looking at I don't want to bring up Andrew Wiggins. I'll pass on that. But
I don't care. Don't do it. Don't not do it because of me.
No, I'll save that for when it's more obvious that it's getting dark. But we're talking about draft pick trades. We're talking about what's it going to take next year to get off this money, like the buyout rules. I'm happy to talk about it getting dark, but
no. I don't mind that. And if anything, I think we should talk about like what this team does if like today's date is November 7th. What happens if 2 months from now, we fast forward to January 7th, right? What happens if on January 7th, the Warriors they're 5-5 now. Let's say hypothetically, I have no idea how many games will be in the books by then, but let's say hypothetically, the Warriors are 12-15. All right, let's just say for the sake of argument, that's the record. The veterans have been playing, right? They're not dealing with injuries, other than maybe just the type of exhaustion and a random shit we see now with like colds and Jimmy Butler with the back issues. Side note, someone in the chat brought up the fact that Jimmy Butler at one point this season, and of course we talked about it on this show, was playing center in a game, and then you wonder why his lower back is now sore.
My neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh.
a huge surprise, right? We've talked about that with Draymond Green before. Like, do you really think there's going to be no adverse effects to having these athletes battle much larger human beings, who in most cases are also much stronger? Like, of course, there's going to be after effects to.
And you know who's going to get hurt? JK looks tired to me.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is the guy that's expected to guard the best player, rebound, and get it in offensively when the stupid offense breaks down. And this is the guy that's expected to play all 82 games. So, I mean, I think the injuries are going to come in surprising places to people, but it is a feature of the system, not a bug.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I am totally willing to get dark. We are definitely plotting out scenarios in January if they're around 500, because they made their panic trade last year. They made 2 panic trades.
That's what we're we'll talk. Let's dive into it. Tonight's the night. But in just a second, we have not talked about Brandon Podziemski yet. We've spent a lot of time on Kuminga, on Moses Moody, and again, a big gripe. I think it's universal, at least on my behalf. Again, definitely were not good nights. Moses Moody, 1 for 9 shooting, 0 of 6 from deep, but in 19 minutes, 17 seconds. Jonathan Kuminga, 3 of 10 shooting from the field, 0 of 2 from deep, 6.7 rebounds, but in 26 minutes and 50 seconds. And, I've said this before, and I'll always say it to the end. Like, I am not judging any player if the sample size does not reflect the talent, and the sample size doesn't reflect something that's worth criticizing to begin with. Anything below 30 minutes, I am not looking at those numbers and pretending that reflects jack shit in terms of reality. It doesn't. That is not a big enough sample size. Steve Kerr is out of his mind with these rotations. And Brandon Podziemski had an awful game. And even before I get to the stats, I actually saw someone in the beat reporter pool call him out, which we never see.
Wow.
Here, I'll show it. I'll play it for you. And now, granted,
I
Yeah.
don't believe you.
I know. Because I feel like they're afraid to almost. But look at this. This is courtesy. And now look, it is Clutch Points, but still, Clutch Points has a credentialed media member following the team. I don't know if he travels with them, but he's at the press conferences at home at least. This is Kenzo Fukuda. I've never met him personally. I've always seen him behind the scenes, or not always, but recently at various media sections of games and so forth. Media day, I saw him, and he wrote this on Twitter tonight, saying, "Quote: Jamal Murray shredding the Warriors. A rough first half for Podziemski in particular. Denver has no qualms hunting him in their offense." And newsflash, folks, it isn't just tonight that this has happened. This isn't some new thing where teams are just suddenly starting to hunt Brandon Podziemski and where they're just magically just discovering, oh, look, the Warriors have a weakness every time we have an offensive possession. It's Brandon Podziemski. All we have to do is attack him, and we're going to get easy buckets. Dude, the Warriors have a lot of players who you just heard Draymond Green a moment ago talk about individual matchups, right? And man defense and handling your assignment. Well, you better start playing different players, because Buddy Hield is never going to handle that. Or I shouldn't say never, but generally speaking, he's not going to be able to handle that. GP2 is cooked. I think he can still have moments, but I mean, we've also already seen a lot of possessions this year where players blow by him, where he draws dumb fouls. He's never been out there for offensive reasons. And then Brandon Podziemski, who is Steve Kerr's golden boy, who in that Pacers game led the team in minutes. And I'm not going to blame him for that loss because they had much bigger problems that game, but he wasn't great either. He was 1 of 4 from deep. Missed a free throw, only had 3 assists. Defensively, this is the part of the game where the box score is nearly impossible to look at in terms of accurately measuring how someone has done on that side of the basketball court, despite how important it is. And Brandon Podziemski, I'm not going to call him a cone. Like, I don't think opposing players are abusing him as bad as Buddy Hield, as bad as they did Ty Jerome. At least he brings some toughness to the table. Like, if you get a mismatch, like, for example, tonight I saw early in the game, Nikola Jokic was matched up on him. And Jokic just saw that and just started backing in. But Pods is a strong dude. And for a guard, he can grab some boards. So I don't see him as being as much liability as like the players that just bring zero to the table defensively. More specifically, when it comes to those wearing a Warriors uniform, I always start with Ty Jerome. Side note, is he even playing this year? Like, I saw all these people last year in his one so-so season coming off the bench for the Cavaliers, where he, again, defensively, he just no-showed. I had all these people thinking they got me in some gotcha moment, like, CD, Ty Jerome, I win 6th man of the year. Yeah, I don't see him playing at all again. Like, just one so-so year, and you have a bunch of clowns who just want to defend and apologize for Steve Kerr to the death. No, you did not. You are not right in that department. Ty Jerome sucks. He did suck when he played for the Warriors. And Brandon Podziemski, I don't think he's at that level defensively in terms of being a liability, but he's not a good defender. And he's not elite at all defensively. He doesn't have the foot speed to stay in front routinely, consistently for other players. And tonight, besides the poor defense, which is a regular thing with him, offensively, he did jack shit. 1 of 4 shooting from 3. Again, I mean, this guy shot 43.8% from deep in college. That was one of the expected positive traits of Podziemski when the Warriors drafted him. We are not seeing that three-point shooting translate to the NBA. 1 of 4 tonight, 3 of 10 shooting from the field, played 24 minutes, 39 seconds, had 2 turnovers, which by his standards is high. I mean, I feel like that's the biggest reason why Kerr consistently plays him is because his turnovers are usually minimal. But he had 2 tonight, and they were not pretty. And again, assists. The one stat that I keep asking Podziemski to deliver on, for me to not look at his minutes as a negative, as a drain, only 3. Only 3. Moses Moody played 5 minutes less. He had the same amount of assists. Draymond Green had more assists. Kuminga had the same amount of assists. Jimmy Butler had the same amount of assists. Pat Spencer played a minute less than Podziemski. He had 5 assists in this game. Trace Jackson Davis also had 3 assists. It's not something to brag about. It's not something to disregard either, because as you hear routinely, he's supposed to be the connector. He's supposed to be the guy that's facilitating. He's supposed to be the guy that's setting people up. Well, then why aren't the assists there? They're never there. He never sets people up for success. And his passes are oftentimes completely missing the mark. I'm really questioning why he's out there. And tonight, 7 minutes, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 turnovers, 1 of 4 shooting from deep, net rating, which is supposed to be like his strong point. He's a -15. I don't get I've never really quite understood the level of infatuation Steve Kerr has with him, but I'm getting to a point where I just don't get it, period. I get it if he's a backup point guard and he's running the show where he's trying to set people up. Like in that Kings game, he had 8 assists. I thought that was a good role for him. Tonight, this was not his night, clearly. And it's just, why is he not the one getting 5-minute nights, 10-minute nights? Why is he still getting 5 more minutes than Moses Moody? I don't get that either, man. Armando, what was your take on Podziemski tonight and Podziemski in general? Because I know you've been a critic.
I have no idea what you're talking about, man.
I don't either. I'm sorry. I made that.
Mr. P. So I think the reason, first off, that reporter, I think it's notable that was tweeted. I think for 2 reasons. So one thing I've noticed about Pods is that it's clear to the average viewer that he is a defensive liability when Steph Curry is not playing. And the reason is because the reason why Steve Kerr, I believe this is giving Kerr a lot of credit, that Pods gets matched with Curry a lot, is because when Curry's on the floor, other teams are trying to tire Steph Curry out they're trying to attack Steph Curry, even though the weakest link is Pods. And you often see Pods hiding a little bit on the worst offensive player. And tonight there's no Steph, so Pods is clearly the weakest link. And that's why you were seeing Denver in that first quarter getting switches, getting Pods onto Aaron Gordon, getting switches, getting Pods onto Jokic, getting Pods onto Murray. Like, that's why someone like a basic reporter can actually perceive that Pods is a bad defender, because it's right in front of them. They don't see the game on multiple levels. Because what I see every game is they don't target Pods explicitly. What they do is just get him involved in the action. That's how you target someone in 2025. And you get him in rotation. And me in the chat for the last month have been trying to come up with a nickname for the Pods closeout. We got the Anthony Lamb rebound. We got the Al Horford fake broomstick contest at the rim.
I'm going to do my impersonation of Pods while you're describing him, all right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got some funny things to say about that behavior. Of course, but I can't say it on here. It's too bad. You got to check out our YouTube videos for that. But
I want to know. I want to hear it. We're not PG.
It gets demonetized. But he is the Xbox controller that you accidentally hit the wrong button. And anyways, I just say it because there might be new people in the chat. But when he closes out, it's just a layup 3-pointer. You could just shoot over him. That's why it's so good. And then he has to close out hard. So people just walk by him without a move. That's what Draymond's talking about. That's an emergency situation, broken play. But I want to talk about Pods more globally, because that's just the defense that I've been harping on, and it's the case. I feel bad for him. Like, he's not being developed as a point guard, and
real quick, Mike G's saying I don't tell the truth. What am I not telling the truth about? Come on, man. If you're gonna make that accusation back, what am I lying to you about? And don't say I'm giving you a positive spin on Kuminga. He is the real deal. He just needs minutes, Mike. If you disagree, we can agree to disagree on that. But so far, everything I've said about this kid is coming true. He is going to be amazing. Just watch. Stay tuned for that one. But what am I not telling truth about? That's ridiculous. Sorry, Armando. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. So I want to talk about this because I hear a lot. I've been getting a lot of emails from some of our fans basically saying, like, why are they intentionally trying to lose by playing Pods this much? Like, that's literally what Steve Kerr's fan base thinks. Like, are you intentionally trying to lose by playing Pods this much? And I'm getting Armando. Do you think they're intentionally trying to lose? And
no.
And I get where people are going because it's so effing obvious.
That's how dense Kerr is.
Yeah. So
I've used this word obtuse for years. That's why I call him obtuse. He's that stubbornly insistent on his beliefs, man. Like, he's so afraid to admit he's wrong. He really believes in his head, Armando, and to the audience, he really believes he is responsible for this dynasty. Like, he really believes his coaching, his system is why the Warriors won 4 championships. And again, the first one, I'm forever grateful. All right. But that was 12 effing years ago. You didn't do shit with Kevin Durant. That was 2 of the 4. I'm going to forever give Steph all the credit in the world for the last one. I didn't see Kerr do jack shit. But that's Steve Kerr. He's got the Bill Belichick mindset, man. Like, he really thinks his farts smell good.
So I agree. I don't think it's intentional. In sociology, we teach nobody's really like crazy. The way you start your inquiry is you don't operate from the notion that someone's crazy or trying to be evil. You don't start that. You have to find the logic and the rationality in what they're doing.
Why do you have that starting point? I'm just curious. Like why take the positive spin on humanity?
It's because if anybody's doing something bad, like crime or being a bad parent or I don't know, not wanting to work or something. Like there's a rational basis for why they're doing something. And that's how you have to understand someone's social context, is by trying to understand the rational basis. So I do
What
a lot
about
of work.
selfishness and self-centeredness, which is, I feel like, the plague of humanity, like a singular focus on yourself. I mean, I would call that bad, but that depends, right? There's a whole ethical a discussion you could have. But don't you think most people, or at least a shitload of people, have that mentality, and you would not think that's bad, or would you think that's bad? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, in this case, like you're trying to win in the organization collectively, so he has to have some rational basis. Like, and I do a lot of work to try to figure out what it is. Like, I don't just think he's intentionally losing. And I was listening to Tim Kawakami this week and Marcus Thompson, and I think some of it was in there, and it's something you guys have all known. It's the dribbling thing, but Marcus
You mean
Thompson
Kerr loving it and
yeah,
focusing on that as far more important than it really is.
yeah, and Marcus, it was so funny because Marcus Thompson, this was like after Moses Moody is like getting it in for like 3 straight games, and Marcus is like, what are they gonna do? Like, it seems like Moses Moody should play more. It's kind of weird that he's not. And like Marcus Thompson had to like repeat it for like literally like 3 minutes before before TK could actually comprehend that he was saying he should get minutes over Podziemski, because he kept talking about Kuminga. He's like, well, he's got to play Kuminga. And then he was like, no, I'm not talking about Kuminga. And then he said, oh, so you're saying they should play the lineup of Curry, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green? He's like, huh. Well, I think what the problem is with that, it just obviously needs dribbling. I think what they really like is that Podziemski puts pressure on the rim, that he's one of the few guys that can get into the lane. This is a quote from
embarrassing.
someone
Do
who's
not
close
ever,
to the-
folks. Friendly piece of advice: do not ever listen to Tim Kawakami for basketball analysis. All right, it would, like, if someone discovered that he never once dribbled the ball in his life, wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying he didn't. Maybe he played once. I don't know, but I've never heard a single thought-provoking basketball take from Tim Kawakami. I feel like football is more his area of expertise anyways, which is why his the amount of time he spends covering the Warriors is weird as it is to me. All he knows is just whatever Steve Kerr tells him. That's his entire
So Steve Kerr's position is he wants Podziemski in there to push the pace, and he feels like they don't have another dribbler on the team. But I don't get it. I'm sure the chat doesn't get it either, because he doesn't even bring the ball up the court. It's usually Steph, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, or JK, and frankly Moses Moody can do it too. And
Armando, again, this is what I always like push back on people like TK who bring up like ball handling. Like Sam Gordon was on the show the other night, and he brought that up too. Like, you need ball handling, bro. The only time you need ball handling in the NBA is if other teams are applying full court pressure. Like, if other teams are playing real defense with intensity attached to it, where they're forcing you to just get across half court within 8 seconds, you might actually see me revert to believing in ball handling again as an important skill set in the modern NBA. However, outside of Rick Pitino 25, 30 years ago, no one does that. No one. And I don't understand why either. Side note. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that more teams are not aggressively pressuring opposing offenses like that, because you would be causing turnovers, you would be causing havoc. I don't know if it's like an energy thing where they're trying to preserve the players and keep them fresh for the entirety of the game. My point is, as from a basketball coaching perspective, high school, college, all the other stuff, I get it. Yes, it's very important because it's a skill you got to learn and develop, and sometimes that takes decades to get really good at. And you have defenses that swarm you, defenses that in the college game, especially in high school, that are applying pressure, trapping you on the other side of the court. You never see that in the NBA. Your ball handling in the NBA just comes down to get the ball across half court. And side note, Podziemski, who's supposed to be the guy for that, did you see the 8-second violation in the Kings game that he got?
Yeah.
I mean, that's your job. That's your only job, is just to get the ball across half the court. And he couldn't even do that. But that's my point. And it's a huge reason why you see teams like the Rockets, for example. They lose Fred VanVleet, and they don't have a point guard outside of Reed Shepherd, and they're rolling with Armando Thompson as their point guard, because more and more teams are realizing if you focus so much on a traditional old school point guard, and that person is smaller, or that person cannot make up with other important skill sets like defense, shooting, they are a liability on your roster. You only get 5 dudes you can put out there, and if one of the 5 can only dribble the ball, that's a void, dude. You're now down 5-4 in terms of your matchup with the other team. Like, you're losing just by focusing on that singularity. And Steve Kerr's obsessed with the dribbling variable. It's sad. It's sad and it's frustrating. I don't know if you agree with that opinion either, because it's a debate I have with my friends who have a coaching background, and most of them now agree with me. But at first, it was like they did it. They're like, no, dribbling's important, and it's like it was, and it still is in high school and college. I get it, but in the NBA, you better focus on size, athleticism, shooting. There's a whole bunch of other shit that's way more important than being able to dribble a ball. Never mind the fact that NBA players, 98% of them are elite at doing that anyways. Quinton Post not included. I think Quinton Post is one of the exceptions. I don't want him handling the ball, but pretty much anyone else, they can dribble a ball up the court. I don't know. That's my take.
I mean, a few things there, Si. Like, the way you break a full court press is with passing to athletes with size. Like,
correct.
Part of the reason they get annihilated by teams like Portland and Rockets when they full court press is because we're playing 3 guards. And like Pods has to dribble a little bit. He has to pick up the dribble to jump to make a pass to a Buddy Hield, who has to jump to catch it and then has to strain. Like, if you're playing size and wings, they're not going to full court press you, and because you just get dribbled around and get dunked on. That's how you beat pressures with effing athletes with size in the modern NBA. I'm not talking about no high school. And the other thing about Pods is dribbling is like, it isn't he excels when teams are not prepared, and there's G leaguers out there that are not in the scouting ecosystem of the NBA. They're just guys out there. He excels at that. That's when he gets his points. That's when he looks good. And Denver, like I said on game 1, the scouting report is out on Pods' pump fake. That's why you're seeing a lot of more of the dribbles to nowhere. It gets into the lane, stop, pivot foot, pump fake, man stays down. I'm surprised that wasn't a thing last year, but nobody's really taking it anymore. It's just guys that are not prepared. Denver knows what's up, man. They know JK can't take mid-rangers. They know Pods is going for the pump fake. They know the way to beat this team is to make Draymond shoot threes. Like, it's an easy game plan. The team doesn't have to think that much to beat the Warriors. And, like, you got to have athletes out there. You got to pressure the defense. And Moses Moody, when he gets pressured at like half court, I've seen that boy take it in. Okay, chat, here we go. Here's what I wanted to say. Can you imagine if Moses Moody was getting the open looks that Brandon Podziemski gets playing with the starters? Can you imagine what would happen? Like, how many posterized dunks would be in Moses Moody every night? How many crazy 3-pointers, corner wide open layup corner threes would Moses Moody be getting if he was playing with the athletes instead of in freaking as the power forward in 4-guard lineups? Like, man, it's mind-boggling to think about Moses Moody playing the Podziemski role. Like, it's mind-boggling. People would literally be talking about him as like one of the best contracts in the league if Moses Moody was playing with those 4 guys.
And Armando, I bring up the minutes because there are countless examples, and Kuminga's a perfect one. Similarly, for this case I'm going to make here, there are countless basketball players who have slow starts, but they are given enough time over the course of a game to put together a complete line, right? And Moses Moody, and I bring this up because Moses Moody had an awful night. Again, across the board, 1 of 9 shooting, awful. 0 of 6 from deep, awful. Some of those threes were good looks. Some of them they looked forced, but 19 minutes, 17 seconds. Most starters in this game, let me give you some perspective here. Maybe tonight wasn't a good night because Denver blew this game open. But nonetheless, just to give you this example, Cam Johnson, who was similarly awful for the Denver Nuggets tonight, right? Airballing threes, had 0 points. He still played 25 minutes and 9 seconds because he's a starter, because he's important for this team, and he can do other things if the shot's not falling. So can Moses Moody. But Moses Moody gets 6 minutes less than Cam Johnson, and so he never gets an opportunity to make up for a slow start. Like, some players finish strong. Luka Doncic has had a lot of box scores where you look at the first half and it's like 2 points, 1 of 7 shooting, and you're thinking, wow, that was a bad first half. And then you see the second half and he's got like 35 and he's made like 8 threes. And dude, you got to give these guys full bodies of work, or you got to give them the opportunity to submit a full body of work. And this has always been my gripe with Kuminga and Steve Kerr, who, Kuminga's never going to truly thrive until he gets a new coach who just actually puts faith in him, nurtures him, gives him the confidence that regardless of what he does, he's going to get his 35 minutes. Like, if Kuminga had that belief behind him from a coach, where a coach basically just sends him out there and says, do your thing. Obviously, play within the system. Obviously, get your teammates involved. Don't hurt the team. But if you make mistakes, I have faith in you. We're going to leave you out there. You're going to get your minutes. Kuminga would either this year or next, in my opinion, be starting to emerge as an all-star level player. Instead, this year, we're seeing the best version of him, largely because he's getting minutes. He's growing as well, but he plays so scared, dude, because he knows Kerr this is 2 straight games now where he's played like 25 minutes. He's averaged 25. And Moses Moody, 19 minutes tonight after a game where he poured in 28 and had an unbelievable shooting night. Dude, Steve Kerr he's awful. He's an awful coach when it comes to these rotational decisions, when it comes to instilling confidence in his players. He just doesn't get it, dude. And it's kind of sad. And someone in the chat asked, and I started this one, in Dreams 159 to ask, like, why won't Lacob fire Kerr? 2 reasons primarily. One is Steph. Like, Steph loves him. Now, and when we transition to the topic about what happens if suddenly Steph and the veterans age right before our eyes and they're no longer like elite basketball players, that could be a different conversation to that point. But until like that's a certainty, and hopefully that isn't, and we don't ever face that scenario, like, Steph is still the man. Steph loves Kerr. And so Kerr's job security is safe because he has Stephen Curry in his corner. Now, there's also a very good reason why Steve Kerr gave that speech before the season started, where he talked about his contract being 1 year at a time, because even he knows, and I don't doubt that he's had conversations with Joe about this, that the moment this is no longer a Warriors team where that Stephen Curry is carrying and maintaining relevancy with, then Steve Kerr is suddenly not relevant. That Steve Kerr is no longer a part of this picture, and they will move on from him when that time comes. That I'm confident of. And what I can tell you with certainty, without getting into the specifics, is everything we say on this show about Steve Kerr, the front office, and when I say front office, I mean everybody, they're aware. They know. But they have Stephen Curry, and Stephen Curry's the moneymaker. Stephen Curry is a legend who deserves every ounce of respect he gets, in my opinion. And he's still one of the best players in the history of the world still, which is insane. Now, again, if January rolls around and they're 12 and 15 or, 15 and 20, however many games are on the books by then, we might start to sense and a conclusion here to this 12-year coaching run. And then there's the other part of it too, which is on a more minor level, but still relevant, which is that Steve Kerr is a quote unquote star, right? And Joe Lacob loves star power. He loves big draws. And Steve Kerr still, like, he's fooled a lot of people in this world into thinking that he is an intellect and that he is like, you know, a smart person, largely because he can articulate himself clearly, largely because he has the look. I mean, the guy was literally given a speech at the Democratic presidential convention last summer or 2 summers ago, whenever that was. Like, so he has that star power, even though like, I guess it depends on who you ask, but ultimately those are the 2 main reasons is what I'm trying to say. One, and it's the big one, Stephen Curry. 2, and it's a smaller one, but it's still pertinent, is the fact that Steve Kerr, I mean, look, he was a star of The Last Dance, right? Like, he was there when Michael Jordan was doing all those things in the 90s, and older folks like us, or at least like me, like remember that. And so Kerr's got some star power and some gravitas, if you will, attached to him. But don't fool yourselves out there, folks. Like, the front office, they're smarter than what a lot of people give them credit for. And if this thing starts turning south with Steph, I think this easily could be Steve Kerr's last year. So anything you want to add to that, or any thoughts on Kerr?
Yeah, I'm you know, Spurwell was right, is usually a year ahead of things, 2 years sometimes, you know, and I think me and my cousin's been talking about.
You've been around for how many months? I love you, man. I'm sorry to jest. Go ahead.
And you know, we've been talking about Steve Kerr being a lame duck for a while now. That whole media thing where it's his choice. No, man, that's just the media spin. That was Kerr begging in the media.
Yeah.
You know, I think if the coach is playing 3 connectors, a 4th guy who's not allowed to shoot, like, it just tells you he doesn't know what he has on his team. And he's going to be experimenting with his team if they even get to the play-in. You know, they're kind of lucky that it's looking like there's only 5 locks in the Western Conference right now. So they're lucking out a bit there. But, you know, Spurwell was right. We predicted 500 ball all year. And, you know, we predicted Horford was unplayable, and we predicted Pods would be 4-on-5 ball. And we predicted that Kuminga would look like an all-star playing with the starters. You know, and it's pretty obvious this is a structural issue with coaching and doesn't have anything to do with the talent on this roster. You know, and I it's pretty sad. Like, this is the only situation in the history of sports where a majority of a fan base refuses to question the coach for the losing going on.
It's I think the Bay Area is a lot of it too, man. This is a very soft, very like when I say liberal, I mean like the bleeding heart part of it too, right? Where is forgiveness and the 4 championships, right? I mean, he was the guy at the top, and most people do not have the time to spend to learn about what really goes on behind the scenes. I always blame the media though, ultimately, because again, like, let's say right now, after every Warriors game, I don't know how many live shows there are, 10, 20, let's say there's 20, 19 of them will never blame Steve Kerr ever. Like 19 of them, they have hosts who think Steve Kerr is a genius. Insane, yet very true. And then that doesn't include all the legacy media outlets that are covering the Warriors. Like, you have, and this is where, again, I call Steve Kerr a media savant, because kudos to him. His charm offensive worked on a lot of people, where, you know, like these folks were covering him during this massive championship run, and they're at a point where they prefer maintaining the relationship over holding him accountable for bad decisions. So it's crazy. It is insane that he gets the leeway that he does, and he's never held accountable, like, ever. I never hear anybody, like Simon 2 in the chat is asking the question, like, do the GMs work for Kerr and not the other way around? And referring to the roster. No, with the GM, again, and we've covered this on the show for years. Like, Bob Myers left because he realized that his job was borderline worthless as long as Steve Kerr is there, and he had no idea how long Steve Kerr was going to stick around for, because Kerr is Steph's guy. And the fact that Bob Myers, a month or 2 before he stepped down, publicly said in a press conference, when asked if the team was going to make a move at the trade deadline to get a center, his response was, Well, we also have to look into, whether or not it's worth it, because, what's the point in spending the money on or trading assets for a center that a coach will never play. And he said that publicly. And folks, I don't know if you remember that season, the year after they won the championship, like Myers and Steve Kerr meeting for dinner in New York City in the middle of a contentious season, because you had Steve Kerr playing Anthony Lamb, Ty Jerome, instead of Kuminga and Moody, which is what Bob Myers envisioned, right? So the Warriors are at a point where, when it comes to personnel decisions, they have to walk this tightrope of players that are serviceable, players that are good, but also players that Steve Kerr would actually play, because they're well aware of the fact that Kerr has his peculiarities. Kerr has his weird little nitpicks and whatever the true reasoning is, whether it's OCD, anxiety, whether it's insecurity, whether it's just an utter denseness for seeing what's in front of him, or maybe it's just his entire modus operatus is, I'm here to protect Steph. Everything else is secondary. But yeah, that's the front office works in the sense that they're going to add players that they think Steve Kerr would play. I'm very confident, for example, that Al Horford, before they actually gave him the contract, they first talked to Steve Kerr. Were like, "Will you actually play this guy?" Right? And Steve gave him his answer, and I'm going to guess he said yes. And so Al Horford is part of the team. There was a report out there that the team was exploring trading for Malik Monk at one point this offseason in a potential sign and trade with Jonathan Kuminga when those contract negotiations were going nowhere. And that report also indicated, I think Anthony Slater wrote it, that Steve Kerr was not a big Malik Monk guy. Boop. And that's done. And that's over with, because, again, if Steve Kerr is not going to play him, what the hell is the point? So, yeah, the influence from Steve Kerr is huge. But I also agree with you, Armando, that I think if the veterans start to tap out in terms of talent and they start to peak and age before our eyes, I do think this is it for Kerr. And I think they're going to make a change after this. But
dude, I really think Draymond wants to get Podziemski off the effing floor, and the coach doesn't want to do it. Draymond's not allowed to say anything because, to be honest, chat, one of the things we're talking about in this, when it goes 0 dark 30, who's going to take the blame, right? It ain't Kuminga. It's going to be Draymond. He's going to be the sacrificial lamb.
Real quick, TG1423. If I post the link in the chat, will you come on and actually have a discussion with us so you can defend Kerr, or are you going to be a keyboard warrior and just write bullshit, gaslighting comments in the chat and then cower out completely when we want to have discourse with you? Because I'm trying to understand why you defend this man, and you have to understand he is the decision maker. Who else are we going to blame for rotational decisions? So answer that. Like, do you want to come on and have that discussion? I'll happily post that link. Otherwise, dude, like, what do you want us to say? What are we supposed to talk about? We literally spent 10, 20 minutes on Kuminga and his faults and his positives tonight. We just spent, I'm guessing, close to 30 minutes talking about Podziemski tonight. 15, 20 minutes on Moody tonight. Like what do you want? I mean, come on, man.
No, it is all Kerr's fault. Ain't no two ways to say it. So I don't care.
He's the one in power. He's the one that makes these decisions. Like, who are we supposed to talk about?
Draymond, someone in the chat said his body language is pretty clear. He doesn't want to be playing with Podziemski because of the defense. One of the things my cousin Andy noted was, like, Draymond really doesn't have a role on offense when Pods is on the floor. Like, it's Draymond spreading the court, because Pods does not spread the court. Nobody respects Pods.
Neither does Dray, by the way.
Leave him open.
When they're both out there, that's two people not spreading the floor.
Yeah, like Draymond used to be a point god. Like, he was the trigger man.
You're right.
And if he was the trigger man out there with Steph, Kuminga, Moody, Butler, like, the offense would be golden. But he's out there and they're running around like a circus act, pivoting to nowhere on each other. Draymond will dribble it in, stop, pivot, nowhere to pass. Connect. And, Draymond doesn't have a role offensively when Pods is out there, and he's busting his ass playoff level defense to try and cover for Pods, and he's burning the nitric oxide. he's going to get sciatica any moment now. So it's like, I mean, if I was him, I would be trying to send subtle messages into the media too, if I'm not allowed to say nothing against the Hall of Famer. So, yep.
You want to hear from Jimmy Butler?
Sure.
Jimmy Butler putting the onus on the recent struggles on the players and not the coaches. This is courtesy of Joseph Dykes, who is now the the beat reporter for the Mercury News covering the Golden State Warriors. Let's hear from Jimmy. I have no idea if the audio is going to be good, but they're in the locker room. And I do notice in that table in front of them, if you're listening to the podcast and you can't see this, a lot of water bottles, a lot of lotion. How many bottles of lotion is that? 5? I see 1, 2, 3. I'm guessing that's a lotion. That's 4. I'm guessing that's a lotion. That's 5. Like, does the skin need that much? What do you think is going on there? No comment from Armando. Here's on the lotion.
Those are probably $500 bottle of lotion each.
You're right. It probably is 5, maybe even like $1,000. That's probably realistically like $2,500 there. Maybe just $5,000 worth of lotion right there, sitting in front of Jimmy Butler. It puts the lotion on the skin, or it gets the hose again. Here
Jimmy
is
Butler, everybody, our starting power forward.
Or it gets the hose again.
Wasn't where it needs to be, and I think that it has to take got to go up quite a few notches whenever we don't got stuff out there. So, I mean, hopefully we get our guy back, but if he's not out there, you got to play damn near a perfect game, and for sure a high energy game if you want to have a chance to win.
How do you bring that energy up?
Doing all the small things, and everybody doing it together as a collective, crashing, diving on the floor, second efforts. All of that is going into like the energy plays throughout the game.
Jimmy, why do you think that specifically to start the year has been up and down the way it has?
I don't make excuses, so I'm not the one for that. I just know that we have to do it, especially whenever Steph is out, but even whenever he is in. Everybody got to play with like some high level energy. I'm not saying one person or two people. Everybody has a whole lot of energy.
What are you seeing with regards to the defensive breakdowns up to this point?
Some more effort, you know what I'm saying? A little bit more KYP at the same time. But defense is all if you want to do it. Whether you're on the ball, whether you're in the gap, whether you're the low man. If you want to do it, you will do it.
What does KYP mean?
Is everything effort versus X's and O's right now?
I mean, for us, it's always going to be a lot of effort. Like, we have some really smart players. Obviously, one of the greatest coaches ever, incredible coaching staff. So, you can't even point the blame on them because they put us in a position to be hella successful. It's on us to go out there and execute. It's on us to go out there and play hard as hell. It's on us to go out there and actually compete and win. So they do a hell of a job getting us ready. Scouts, all of that good stuff. It's on the guys on the soccer to go out there and compete at a higher level.
Does this game Sunday need to set a tone before that 6-game road trip?
I mean, hell, every game up to this point is supposed to be one to set the tone. Now, what I will say is, and I say this a lot, when you win, everything's masked and everything's covered up. So if we go out there and win, it's going to look like we played hard, it's going to look like we executed. So let's just win and then we'll take it from there. Let's learn from the win.
What?
Cool. Thank you, Jim.
Well, he is right in the sense, and what he's saying is, again, a lot of cliches, but what he's saying basically, Armando, and I'm sure you know this, is winning fixes everything. If you win, all the issues that we're talking about is just brushed away. I do agree with them in the sense that this team is not coming out with fight. Like in every one of these losses, and that includes Milwaukee, that includes Indiana. The Kings game, I don't know if I actually don't know if I would agree with the sentiment there. I thought just it was young guys. They made some dumb mistakes. I took a lot of positives from that Kings game, even with the loss. But this game, the two losses in Milwaukee, Indiana, the Portland game, they were not the aggressors. They were not out there like fighting for their lives. And look, this is a regular season game. It's harder for the veterans to bring that level of intensity as someone like Jimmy. And look, man, and I didn't see him deflect from himself. Maybe he should have taken more accountability there. But collectively as a whole, outside of maybe Quentin Post, I feel like he was the only dude that was actually busting his ass out there tonight. Maybe Trace Jackson Davis. I feel like those two were the only ones that were actually legitimately playing like their lives were on the line. And if you make the NBA, that's what you should do, man. So I do think he's right to a certain extent. I think he's simplifying things grossly. But what do you think, Armando?
And there was a moment in that when he said, even in the wins, you're kind of masking some things.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he said that was honest.
So you don't think that they've been lacking with aggression and energy?
No, that's just something you say when your coach is not providing you with answers. The coach has these guys convinced that the game plan is sound, that 3 guards just need to play harder. Just play harder. That's like high school shit, man. That's literally what I yell at when I play YMCA rec league ball. Like, it doesn't just play harder. That's not NBA level coaching. That's just, it's just not. Like, let's be real. Are you kidding me? Let's talk about Jimmy Butler for a second here. Okay, chat. Let's add up Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga's contract. $53 million plus 21. 63, 73, $74 million for those two guys. Let's add up Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga. $27 million and 21. $48 million. $73 million versus $48 million.
What's the 48 for again? I missed that. I apologize.
Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga together.
Okay.
That's a difference of 25 million. All right. If you don't sign Al Horford, that's another $30 million. Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, plus a $30 million contract space on this team. When I think about what this coaching staff has cost, in terms of, you were talking about the front office has to make moves. Like, think about that for 5 effing seconds. What a $30 million player would add to that mix.
Well, the only reason why I push back on that, Armando, your math is correct. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but the Warriors are over the salary cap regardless of that 30 million. So the realistic difference between Jimmy Butler and Andrew Wiggins from like a free agency perspective is a full mid-level exception versus a taxpayer mid-level exception, which is a difference. It comes down to either you have 14 million to sign a player or 6 million to sign a player. That's the real difference when you narrow it down, if that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense.
It does. I hear you that it's possible they would have been over the first apron, but I think we'll have to table that because I need to go confirm that would actually be true. I've done the
research. I promise you, I've done the research on that.
Okay.
Because again, the Warriors right now are at 207 million because they're right up to the second apron, right? So you take 30 million off that, and that's 177, which is still 20 million over the cap.
Okay.
Right. So the cap is around 150 something. That's where the cap is. So regardless, they're spending a shitload of cash. And really where the penalty comes from mostly is Joe Lacob's pocketbook. Because when you go over the cap, and then there's like a weird window between over the cap and then where you start entering the luxury tax penalty phase. And I can't remember if that part of it's, I don't have that in front of me. It's like 165 or 170, but it's mostly just comes down to how much Joe Lacob wants to spend out of pocket. He's spending a lot of extra money for Jimmy Butler. So, and I could care less, if he's spending extra cash, but in terms of like the team itself, it comes down to it comes down to the mid-level exception, because if the Warriors had Wiggins' contract still, they would have had $14 million. And this offseason did have a lot of very lucrative free agent options with a lot of teams that didn't have cap space. So this was a rare offseason where you just had people lingering, talented players lingering out there. And you could criticize Mike Dunleavy Jr. for going with Al Horford. I mean, I thought there were a lot better options out there than him. And we've spent a lot of time on previous shows talking about that. Please forgive me for not memorizing which players those were exactly. Chris Boucher, again, was like the one guy I thought would have been perfect. But there were a lot of other guys. Like Trey Lyles is still unsigned. And there's a list. I had a list somewhere. That was months ago. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, you're not wrong either that it's a difference of $30 million. You know, like, I don't know. You still are sour on the Jimmy Butler signing ultimately?
Yeah, so they made their big panic trade and they went old. And they're in the Western Conference Gauntlet. It's about youth and athleticism in 2025. It's not 2022. I don't know what they're seeing. They're talking about they just need to make the playoffs healthy. Oh man. If you're saying that, you're not getting out the playoffs healthy. This is the go home in a body bag program 4.0.
And this is where I get so bitter at Kerr, because in my opinion, and this is where we're just having fun, just talking about what ifs and stuff. In my opinion, you make that trade last year to get Jimmy Butler. You go 23-7 with him, right? I think you said that was their record since they signed him. All you have to do is just give Kuminga the minutes, and you win a title. I am confident of that. Like that was the difference to me in terms of trading Wiggins for Jimmy Butler. Now you have this lineup where it would have been Kuminga, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, Steph, and whoever the fifth guy was, even Podziemski that had a positive in terms of net rating. But then you have Steve Kerr deciding, Kuminga doesn't fit. And Jesus effing Christ.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to talk about, Cy. Yeah. I think we're about to hit a turning point where Steve Kerr benches Jonathan Kuminga.
I hope not.
I think, chat, you're going to start. I don't know if it started in the Indiana game, but I told you guys in the summer it was going to be deja vu. Steve Kerr got embarrassed. He was forced to play Jonathan Kuminga. He was going to half-ass play it. And by half-ass, meaning he played it 30 minutes. It looks good, but then he played 3-guard lineups on the bench units, and it died, lost leads, and fatigued the Stars as a result. They had to come back because of those 3-guard lineups, and they're 5-5. He can point to Kuminga, and Moses Moody's playing great. Will Richards, he's a lot of nice, fun. Will Richards is a great connector. He really empowers Steph and Draymond, quotes from Steve Kerr yesterday. So I have a feeling we're about to hit everything we're seeing minus Kuminga, and it's going to be really, really, really bad losing ball as a result.
Yes, and that's the only reason why I'm not as look. I that is a great fear of mine. I don't doubt it's a very strong possibility. My only hope that we don't see that reversion in terms of rotational decisions, meaning Kuminga going back to the bench, is this team can't survive it. Like they need Kuminga at this point. And you're right. If that's what he decides to do and brings Kuminga off the bench again, despite saying just a couple weeks ago he was entrenched as a starter, you're going to see suffering. Like, you're not going to see the Warriors, you're not going to see that 23-7 version again. I'm confident of that. Sometimes 6 months can mean the world.
I think maybe the difference is this is my version of optimism, because I want this to happen, because they're going to go like fucking 1-15. And then they're just gonna have to fire the coach. So that's like my optimistic.
Let's talk about that. And side note, JFA in the chat saying this is the team that Kerr wanted. I just want to add to that. Jimmy Butler was very much a Mike Dunleavy Jr. pick. They were teammates. We've talked about this on the show before. They were teammates together with the Chicago Bulls. They maintained a friendship for close to 20 years after Mike Dunleavy Jr. retired, I think that was his last team. Don't quote me on that part of it. But Jimmy Butler was a Mike Dunleavy selection. Now, did Dunleavy check in with Kerr? I don't doubt that part of it. I mean, if Steve Kerr told Mike Dunleavy Jr., hey, yeah, sure, get Jimmy Butler. I'm not going to promise you I'm going to play him, but sure, get him. I'm sure there would be second thoughts about that trade because I think it's safe to say that if Kerr was truly the GM, Andrew Wiggins would still be with the team. Like, I don't think that was a Kerr decision to move on from Andrew Wiggins. I think that was more of a front office decision that reflected a desperate necessity to shake things up and improve things. But the relationship between Dunleavy and Butler is a huge reason why that trade was made. And let's get into it. Let's talk about what it's a crazy scenario, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. What happens here? I'm gonna open up the schedule real quick here, just so I can be accurate here. Like, let's say I'm gonna fast forward on the Warriors schedule.
Oh man.
And yeah,
one thing I've been noticing in the media that Kerr and the veterans are putting out, Slater's reporting it, so it's coming straight from the vets. The inner circle is like this. They see the beginning of the season as like unfairly hard schedule on them.
Well, it is. You don't think so?
And this is the gauntlet of the season. Like, they haven't even started the 6-game trip that they're about to be on, and the part of the season that they think is easy, that doesn't have back-to-backs in January and February, there's a game every other night for 2 straight months. Like,
True.
There's no, and the end of the season is even harder than this period. And like, the thing is, like, every team in the league has this hard season, this hard stuff, but they're young athletes with depth, and we're not. So like, it's a feature of what they've built, not a bug.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. So if January 15th, the Warriors play the New York Knicks at home, and that's part of, and just to give you an idea of how different the schedule looks, let's say around the new year, right? So the Warriors have a homestand that starts on January 2nd, and it has one road game in there at LA, right? But you take that out, and they've got a stretch of games. Let me count this real fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have a stretch at the beginning of January where they play 11 of 12 games at home. The one road game at LA, the only team older than them statistically. This stretch starts with OKC. That's never going to be fun. Utah, Milwaukee, Sacramento, Atlanta, Portland, which is, again, no longer easy, New York, Charlotte, Miami, Toronto. And then they go back on the road and they start a road trip at Dallas, which, again, pales in comparison compared to what they're about to face. My point is, there's going to be stretches in the schedule where things are going to be a little easier and you're going to see winning. But that's a side note. I'm done talking about that. January 15th, they host the New York Knicks. That represents the 40-game mark. All right. So if we want to actually be, just to make things symmetrical here, let's say the very next game is Saturday, January 17th. They host the Charlotte Hornets. And after that night, that'll represent the halfway point of the season, 41 games. Armando, let's talk about what Warriors World, and no, not the lame Twitter account, but that guy's a jackass, but the actual realm of talking about the Golden State Warriors. Let's say we find ourselves in a situation where at the 41 game mark, the Golden State Warriors are 17 and 24. 7 games below 500. And that's not a good record. Like 17 and 24, you're not anywhere near the play-in. Like you're a lottery team, right? And good news is the Warriors do have their draft pick this upcoming offseason. Thank the gods. So let's present that scenario.
Thinking now if I were them.
Well, first of all, if they're 17 and 24, you're absolutely thinking about that. Yeah. But here's my question to you: what do the Warriors do at that point? Because that's not impossible.
No, it's not. It's not.
What happens?
Well, are the three guys healthy during that run?
That's the scenario here. Is that
That's the scenario.
like we're not? It's not like Draymond missed a month. It's not like Jimmy. Like Jimmy's back issues are not lingering, or if they are, like he's fighting through it, right?
Yeah.
Steph is healthy. Like everyone is playing, and Steve Kerr's rotations have led this team to a 17-24 record.
Yeah, this is the likely scenario.
I don't know. Likely is a strong. You might be right. I don't know. I don't know if it's likely, but maybe it is. I don't know. It's dreaded. I think we can safely say that, or at least I can. Likely. You missed the beginning. FanDuel has the over/under for the Warriors currently. Armando, you're a betting man, so I think you should be running to the bookies. You missed out on the 51.5. That was the peak. That was peak OU, and they took that. They lowered that one down fast. It's back down to I think 49.5 currently.
Oh, that's great. That's a great bet.
I don't see the Warriors winning 50. I don't see 50 wins for this team right now. I still think they're a playoff team. I think they're gonna at least be competitive, but I don't see 50. I see 40. I see like last year 48-34, 46-36, maybe 44-38. But let's say it's not. Let's say it's worse. Let's say the under is a safe bet, and at this point in the season, halfway, they're 17-24. And everyone's healthy.
Yeah.
What do the Warriors do? Do they just ride the season out, or are moves made immediately?
No way. Jimmy Butler will shut it down. Draymond Green will shut it down. They're not playing like that. Those guys are too. Draymond is already on a podcasting career. They gotta know they're a championship winning team to like go for it. I think if I'm the front office, I think we heard, you're the one side that told me about that. In reality, Mike Dunleavy said this is actually only a 1-year experiment. They're not running this back like everybody thinks for 2 years, like the stupid media.
He reiterated that, Armando. I think he brought that up again recently. Like he has made that very clear that even though the math indicates 2 years, given all the contracts. No, Mike Dunleavy Jr. has made it a very made it pointed that it's on like I can't remember the words he used exactly, but he insinuated that anything could happen is what he was trying to say. And so keep that in mind too.
Yeah, I mean, Al Horford is definitely getting dumped like Schroeder, and the next team is going to buy him out. Just a salary dump. He might be attached if they go the Kuminga trade, like he'll be attached to the Kuminga, but to increase that salary. I don't think that's going to happen. I do not think they're trading Kuminga. All the stupid Warriors fans think they're going to trade Kuminga. They're absolutely not going to do that.
No, hell no. Well, first of all, okay, because that could be one of many scenarios, right? In terms of what the Warriors do next. The biggest reason why I agree with you, and I don't think the Warriors would stupidly trade Kuminga. And side note, Alan Johnson, thank you for being a member, now an official Golden Dazer. Thank you, sir, or miss, but I'm guessing sir. Who are you going to trade him? Who are you trading? Who are you trading him for? Because the fantasy was Giannis. He's not going anywhere. The Bucks are actually good. They're relevant. Giannis now has 2 brothers playing on that team with him. So hypothetically, let's say you make that trade, you also have to bring his brothers, 2 of them now. He's happy. He's not leaving Milwaukee, at least not this year. You're now at a point where LeBron James does not make you a title contender. Trading Kuminga for LeBron just makes you older. Like you might be more interesting, but are you better? Maybe like a smidge. Can you stay healthy? No. You're 7 games below 500 at this point. So does LeBron magically flip the script? No. So I don't see that happening anymore. This fan base was asking for Cam Johnson not too long ago. At least the moronic part of the fan base. Cam Johnson, who tonight in 25 minutes of play had 0 points. I don't see it. I don't see Kuminga getting traded either. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they need to do is try to parlay Draymond to a team that in the East that is coming up and try to get some draft picks. You know, like trade him to Detroit. They think they got a chance. Trade him to Milwaukee.
Trade
him
who?
to Draymond. Trade him. Get some picks. You know, trade him to a East team that feels like it's on the cusp, and get some picks because they won't be very good in the short run. I would build that draft asset. Definitely do not trade your pick trying to get better. There's no way they're doing that. And I don't think they're going to trade Steph. Like,
no.
There's
I
no
don't
way.
think...
Like, I think when when this goes bad, you guys are going to hear a lot of like, "Oh, is Steph going to retire?" type talk. Don't waste your time with it because it's all about money, baby. And this whole thing they got going, Steph Curry's retirement year is going to be the highest grossing Warriors season in the history of the team. There's no way they give up on a Steph announcing his retirement on the Warriors last year. Like, literally every ticket will be like $1,000 all the way to the top. And so so that's not happening. So, you know, and Jimmy he'll be the summer. He'll have one. There's no one that cannot trade Jimmy unless it's for an equivalently awful contract. So somebody
because my thinking is if the Warriors find themselves in that scenario, like you're immediately shifting to a youth movement. Because if you're 17 and 24, the fantasy that a core of Steph, Dre, and Jimmy can lead you to glory, that bubble is popped, right? You can't do it. 17 and 24. That's all the evidence you need. This is done. You're old, you're ancient. So whatever you're doing, you're not doing it to try and stay relevant as a championship contender now. You're making moves to try and at least be maybe like a playoff contender, but more importantly, building for the future. Would you agree or disagree with that notion?
Yeah, they got to build to the future, as in get some draft picks.
And well, wait, but they actually are pretty healthy with draft picks. Here's my guess for what they do if we find them if the Warriors find themselves in that scenario. I don't think Steph or Dre go anywhere, largely because Steph is so dependent on Dre as his enforcer, protector. Like Dre is Steph's guy. And more so than Klay ever was, even. And so I think they're attached to the hip no matter what. That would be my guess. My guess is Steph and Dre. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is it's not to keep winning. Like, that's true. He's the enforcer if they're trying to win, but it's over. Like, the scenario I'm saying is it's over. It's done. Like, they need to move on.
But you're going to be in this ugly situation where you have to stay like, you're not going to be a title contender, obviously, but you need to stay. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, Steph, no matter what, is not going to get phased out. Like, even if you're a bad team, it's still going to be Steph's team for the rest of this season, at least. So, which is why what I think would happen. And Alan, we'll talk about that in a second a little more. We actually broke that down in great detail. Alan Johnson dropping $1.99. Saying that watching Trace Jackson-Davis and Quentin Post on the floor together was amazing. Yeah, and they played almost 5 minutes together to end the first quarter. They were a +1 together net rating wise. It was phenomenal. It was fascinating that Kerr even went there. But going back to this discussion, and I'll leave that up for a second. My guess, this would be my guess for what happens. Jimmy Butler is gone. And Jimmy Butler would be traded, I think, to a team missing a player like him to turn that franchise into a contender. Like Cleveland is someone I'm looking at, right? Not the Lakers, even though the Lakers are crazily like 7-2 to start the year. I don't know, like, who are some teams like the Cavaliers come to mind? Here, let me look at the standings. Yeah.
Sai, I'm sorry, but the Miami Heat were trying to trade Jimmy Butler for 2 years, and exactly 0 teams except the Warriors wanted to pay him that money because he's not worth it. He plays 57 games a year. Like it will be a salary dump. It's not a team trying to get better. Like it's going to be attached assets to get off of him, or it'll be a salary buyout, or it'll
that's
zero. This is dark. This is like dark. It's dark. It's not like they come out on
I don't
top.
think it's that dark, only because Jimmy Butler next year is on an expiring deal.
Mhm.
And expiring deals are fantastic for trades. That's a $60 million trade chip you basically have. So whoever you trade him to, they're going to keep in mind that Jimmy Butler has that value attached. And again, let's say you're a team like, I got a few teams in mind here. So let's say you're, again, Cleveland, who's missing just one piece. Or let's say you're the Bulls, who are 6-2 currently, and you think you're just the Jimmy Butler away from maybe getting over the hump. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of teams out there who are so desperate because they've never achieved success, or they've been just mediocre at best for sometimes decades, right? That they will be desperate enough. Now, what I'm not saying is that the Warriors are going to get back something of value. I think the Warriors will do it as a salary dump. I think they will. What I'm trying to say is I think I'm optimistic that there will be another team out there willing to roll the dice, knowing that next year is a contract year. So you can trade it again. Worst case scenario, you buy him out. I do think he's movable. We could agree to disagree on that front. Like, I do think it's a very different scenario from what it was when Miami was trying to get rid of him. And keep in mind, that scenario was very different because you had Jimmy Butler and the team like fighting. And now if that's happening again, like if Jimmy Butler like hears his name in trade speculation and doesn't like it and starts raising a hissy fit, yeah, he could probably tank his own trade value. And if that happens, then forget it. You're either stuck with him or you're just gonna get screwed.
But why would another team want to trade for Jimmy if he gets upset when he's not getting his extension, his max?
Because again, he's not going to look for another extension. He's going to be 37 in his final year. So he's like, that's not going to come. That's not attached with trading for Jimmy. His value is already not nearly what it was just even a year ago. And I also think a lot of teams out there are desperate. And again, I'm naming some teams who could fall into that category, right? Like Cleveland, Chicago. I don't know if Detroit. I'm thinking of teams that actually who could use a Jimmy Butler, like Orlando, right? Orlando gave up 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, dude. Like some teams are just dumb and desperate and will do anything for a player like Jimmy Butler. And the reason why I believe that fervently, Armando, is because the Warriors did that shit for fucking 40 years. The Warriors were that team where like Mark Price and players like that who are at the tail end of their careers, and you just need a name to sell seats and tickets, and especially if you're a team that's relevant and maybe you feel like you're just missing that one piece, you might make that move. I could be wrong as well. This is just my opinion, but I do think that option exists. I know he says Memphis is an awful situation, but what if Memphis is in the running, right? Or Phoenix? Yeah, I don't know. I do think there might be some teams out there that would trade for him. That would be my guess. My guess is they trade Jimmy Butler, and then they finish this season as like an unofficial farewell tour for Steph and Dre. And then Steph, I think this offseason would have to make some huge decisions about whether or not he'd want to come back, and do like a farewell tour in his retirement year. He might retire after this season. I can tell you this with certainty. Stephen Curry is not dying to keep playing basketball. Like, he's at a point in his life where retirement is not like a dreaded scenario, and he can let go and do other things. He's not like LeBron, who desperately needs attention, and, God forbid he's no longer the top dog. I mean, look at the way he's like a petulant child because Luka Doncic is now the number one guy in LA and not him. And he turns into a whiner, and like this sciatica thing, who knows how real that is? Like, it could be just him just pouting because he's no longer the revered god in Los Angeles. Like Steph is not a diva like that. So Steph, like, don't be surprised. Is all I'm trying to say, that if he decides to step down, especially if his game starts fading, right? Like, what if Steph just suddenly is like averaging 17 a game and is putting up 35% from deep, and like defensively he's a massive liability all of a sudden. Like it's I can see that happening. I don't know. You don't? What do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. The retirement thing. Yeah, could totally happen. That's another thing we were talking about. Just Steph's got a lot more going on, and yeah, if there's no hope to win, this is the last year. It's like they went all in, they made their move, they went out publicly and said this is a championship level team. And if it turns out it isn't, it's embarrassing. It's time to move on. It means you don't got it anymore.
And then you have people like X-Man in the chat who are just straight up Jonathan Kuminga haters, saying I would trade Kuminga before I trade Jimmy Butler. X-Man, like there's no logical rationale behind just a comment like that. Like, why? I mean, like why do you have such negative feelings about this kid, man? There is a decent sect of you out there who just have a fervent belief in your mind that you don't like this kid. And is it just because he had the audacity to fight for minutes? I mean, I don't get it. I really don't understand why you think and act this way. Or, I mean, that is an asinine comment right there, man. Like you'd rather keep the aging guy who's becoming irrelevant by the day than the youngster whose ceiling is untapped and who keeps your team relevant. What's going? Jesus Christ, dude. But that's the sect of the fan base, man. It's crazy. I mean, look, this fan base once upon a time did actually get upset because they traded Monte Ellis instead of Stephen Curry. So there is that part of the fan base that I guess will always be there. But that is a crazy comment. I don't know. That's what I think. What other thoughts? Like, what other scenarios can you envision in a situation like that where the Warriors are 17 and 24? Any others?
Yeah, I think there's going to be trouble with Pods in terms of his contract extension stuff. Like, I don't think they're going to offer to him, and he's going to pout. It'll be a real bad locker room thing with him. And I think getting off him, it's going to be the same thing as Jonathan Kuminga. Like, you guys think that was bad? Like, the Pods thing's going to be crazy bad because they need him at a certain number to trade him, and they can't really talk bad about him because they need the asset value to be high. But it's not working out for the
I do wonder what the price tag was for Lauri Markkanen an offseason ago, because all the reports indicated that Podziemski was the holdup, and that's who Utah wanted. Side note, I'm confident that's not who Utah wants anymore. if they make a trade, if Lauri Markkanen is still in the market. But Draymond made the comments as well that they were asking for the moon. I'm guessing they wanted a lot of draft picks. Yeah,
I don't think the holdup was Pods. The holdup was not Pods. I don't. That's just PR stuff to me. But I think another place to look at is Moses Moody is kind of like the only tradable contract if you're still trying to get over the top with this team. But man, he needs to play. So he's one of the few young athletes they have. I think you need to do whatever you can to tank and get ready to set it up.
Oof.
Yeah, and it'll be fun, chat. It ain't, man. I can't wait, chat. Like, if you're a true Warriors fan, like getting pumped for the draft and getting invested in prospects and building for the future that's our lifeblood. That is what we do as a fan base. It ain't these last signing KD. I don't think so. Nobody wants to sign with us, and it's going to be like getting back to the old times. So I can't wait. They should tank. They should tank this year. That's 0 dark 30, baby. Like, drop a drone strike on it, because the draft, there's like 4 Cooper Flag level players in the draft this year. They definitely should tank, and they should trade Draymond to try to get another shot at it.
He has value as a trade asset. I think far more than Jimmy. That's for sure. I guess my uncertainties, and there's a lot of them in a scenario like that, is how much leverage would Steph have at that point? Like a Stephen Curry who's officially peaked and is on the decline. Like is he still the shot caller? Right? I don't know. Like, would you move Dre with Steph still on the team? I don't know. How much trade value does Jimmy Butler have? I don't know. What's up?
We got to agree to disagree.
Again, you might be right. I don't know. I've just seen so many teams throughout my entire life, 47 years. So I've watched basketball for 40 years of my life. And just in all that time, I just keep seeing so many sucker dumb teams out there with ownership and incompetent front offices who undoubtedly are just yes men for this owner, make the dumbest decisions imaginable. It never stops. Now look, maybe one day it'll phase out, just like the point guard position is. I don't know. But until it does, I'm going to keep thinking that there always will be teams out there stupid enough to make a trade with for a player like Jimmy Butler. But that's just
me. Yeah, you might be right. The only teams I could see being willing to take on Jimmy would be New York, Lakers, Clippers. That's pretty much it. I don't see why. I hear what you're saying about a young team like Detroit trying to get over the top. The problem is those GMs don't got it like that side. They're like scared. They were scared to take on Kuminga, the risk of it. Like they're not gonna. Jimmy's a quote unquote risky player, and these GMs are not that smart. They're literally herd followers, like a lot of these media types. So I don't, So
yeah, I do. I hope a future without Kerr is sooner than later, because this never, at least for me, is never getting easier. Like I in my mind, I keep thinking, at a certain point, I'll just accept this guy, and I'll just do shows where I can just be, I can just be at peace knowing that he's just a dumbass, and he's just gonna do dumb things because that's what obtuse people do, but no, I never get used to it. It's just every single time something new, and I get riled up, and then you have his apologists who just will never shut up, and then I always have to remind myself, like this fan base once upon a time wanted to trade Steph instead of Monte Ellis. This fan base once upon a time thought Mike Montgomery, in case you folks forgot, he was a head coach for the Warriors for a year out of Stanford, even though it was blatantly obvious that was never going to work out. You just have a lot of fans who just are cool with things, no matter what. It's just hard to be patient about it, I guess. Anyways, and look, here's the other scenario that could happen. It's not out of the realm of impossibility as we wrap it up. Great show, by the way, brother. They could also be 24-17. Like that's also possible. And if they're 24-17, if we flip that script and there are 7 games above 500 at the midway point, do they do anything?
Yeah. Do you think they trade Kuminga in that scenario?
Again, for who? That's always going to be the big question. It's like, if you're going to trade Kuminga, who are you trading him for? Because if you're 24 and I'll put it this way. If the Warriors were in fact a team that is going to hit the over for that OU that FanDuel's listing, like if this is a 50-win team and you can get Trey Murphy, sure. That seems like an awesome trade, right? Like close to similar in value. Trey Murphy is the ideal role player to support a core like Steph and Dre and Jimmy. He's someone who will just shut up and dribble, which is apparently all Steve Kerr wants from his players, is to just bend over and be subservient. It's okay, fine. Like, if you're on track for 50 with this current squad and that's your move, I don't hate it. I think that helps you win a championship. But if you're 24-17 and you're like just hanging on, and you have no idea what's going to happen, when the season ends, like you might be a playoff team, you might be another play-in team that resembles the one that lost to Sacramento a year ago. do you want to trade Kuminga for a player whose skill set's very limited, a player who can't carry you, and be your number one guy? Because because the ceiling of Kuminga is that. Like, there are moments where you see him play and go, damn, like if this guy puts it all together, he could be something really special, right? And that's what Joe Lacob like keeps clinging to, and I don't blame him. I see it too. I don't know. I think it just depends a lot on who's out there and who they could sign. But good news is Aaron Turner, Kuminga's agent, will join us Monday, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions to discuss there. By the way, SGA Sports Talk. Look at Chardal, dude. He hit the 500 mark, 505. How are you doing with your channel, man? Do you want some promotion as we start to wrap it up?
Let's see what we're at, chat, on our subscribers.
You get some music going here. We'll do the scoreboard
watching
on a Friday night. It is Friday. We gotta be like happy about that.
Watching us rip on the Warriors.
Chardal, congratulations, man. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
We're up to 54 subscribers on Sprewell Was Right YouTube. Not bad.
Well, let's start boosting that up because again, 500 is the magic number. Chardal, when I do a solo show next, definitely jump on with me at the end and praise it.
In reference to the Matthew McConaughey movie Dazed and Confused.
Correct. And that spelling is very important if you want to visit our merch store. By the way, Armando, and this goes for everyone out there, if you're looking for gifts this holiday season, we got a merch store, and it's got some really killer swag and just items to choose from. Hats, beanies, mugs, shirts, hoodies. And it's not just like Golden Days stuff, because I know no one wants that shit. I mean, that stuff is available, but I'm going to guess that's not what you're looking for. But we got like retro We Believe stuff. We got retro The City logo stuff. We got and then San Francisco Surf Company, which is an old school surf shop that no longer exists in San Francisco, is now selling their swag in our store, and I'll showcase that. This is a shameless plug time for me, and I don't care. Just to show you folks what's out there. The prices are actually good now. I figured it out with our vendor in terms of like what I can sell that is not going to bankrupt you, especially with their economy the way it is. So check this stuff out real quick here. Just a chance for me. Sorry, let me hide Chardal here. A chance for me to just give a little shameless plug for our merch store. If you go to YouTube, that's how you can find it. Literally just go to our YouTube channel, and there's a link there, and some of the items are listed there. So we got mugs, we got hoodies, we got the hats are sick. I'm gonna start wearing these myself on the show. I got some samples coming my direction. We got long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, more hoodies, hats. I'm going to talk all weird like this, promoting this. We got hats, we got shirts, we got more logos like We Believe in shit and the city and beanies. I need to get a beanie with the SF on it. We got this SF Surfco logo. I'll get a beanie for that as well. Come check the store out. I give you a guarantee on this. If you have a Warriors fan in your life and or a dog lover who surfs in your life, we got you covered, and it's not that expensive. So go check it out, please. And thank you in advance for the support. Armando, promote away everything going on in your life, and more specifically, I'm guessing Sprewell Was Right. How can people find it?
On YouTube, just Google or just enter Sprewell Was Right. We're recording live. We figured out if we take out the audio, crop out the logos, they let us upload up to like an hour of game time. So we have successfully done that once. We recorded the Suns game, and I decided not to upload it because we got a little too dark, and we would have, I don't know if it would have been good for my career to like have that on public.
Yeah, you always got to be aware of that too, right? And by the way, acknowledge me now in the chat saying, Armando, you got to come back. You're here every Friday, man. It's Friday happy hour. Either you join the program around 5 or 6, and if there's a game, you join us right after the show. And I'm very lucky that you do so, Armando. Absolutely appreciative of every appearance you make on the program. So yeah, acknowledge me now every Friday. At a bare minimum, if all you're interested in is Armando and you don't care about me join us Friday at a bare minimum. We'll have you covered there.
Hands down, the smartest chat in Warriors land is Friday nights on Golden Days. It's the smartest chat. Because I'm coming in here on Wednesdays and Tuesdays, and it's a little gumdrop laying in the chat sometimes.
Good stuff. And again, Alan Johnson, thank you again for your contributions. Again, Alan was stoked to see Trace Jackson Davis and Quentin Post on the floor together. It was one of the few bright moments of tonight's otherwise depressing game. Real quick before we go, Armando, do you mind if we do a quick run through of the association to see what else happened tonight?
I'm gonna let you do that. Sorry, I'm like dying here. It's midnight.
I hear you.
Yeah, my bad.
What do you got going this weekend?
Tomorrow I gotta clean the house, and Sunday I'm going to the Niners game.
No shit.
Yeah.
Niner Mac is starting again, man. This is his team to lose, apparently. Who are they playing, man? I don't even know what to expect.
I don't know. I just heard that I got to root for the gang wearing red.
Oh yeah.
And win or lose, just drink some beers. It's all good. Have fun. You know, it's football. It's not that complicated.
Put the hoodie up for the. If you're gonna leave me, I'm gonna to Unabomber Psy to wrap up the show. Are you out? You're done?
Yeah.
Have fun at the game. We see you every Friday. Love you, brother. You were fantastic as always. What do you expect for Sunday? Do you expect the Warriors to course correct against the Indiana Pacers at home?
Yeah, they'll be at home probably for sure. They'll win. Yeah.
Some vengeance. Yeah. So hopefully Sunday night when you see us next, we'll be more positive and we'll be in a good mood. Anyways, all right, brother. Have fun and say hi to the cousins for me. I want to meet them someday.
Take care, guys.
You too, brother. Take it easy, brother. That is Armando Lara, the professor. He literally is a professor. That's why I call him that at UC Berkeley. I don't like this. I don't need that. It's too warm. I don't even know why I'm wearing a hoodie tonight. I was just kind of like reflecting the mood of the game and the team. They depressed me. I was like, I just want to be in a cozy sweatshirt to wrap it up. Let's go through the association here. A few games happened tonight. A lot of games happened tonight. Oh boy. And again, I like doing this just so we all collectively stay up to date on the action around the NBA, and then we'll call it a night and we're done. Around the association for this Friday, November 7th. We're actually past midnight now. It's technically November 8th. The Celtics lost to the Orlando Magic. This game was in Orlando. Final score 123-110. The Magic improving to 4-5. So far underachieving this season. The Boston Celtics dropped to 4-6. Jaylen Brown with the hair paint. 32 points, 9 rebounds. Franz Wagner, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists in the win. You Kuminga haters who wanted Franz Wagner, you win tonight. The Cleveland Cavaliers, offensive output and then some, 148-114 winners tonight, defeating the Washington Wizards. The Cavaliers improving to 6-3. The Wizards dropping to 1-8. This game played at the nation's capital. Donovan Mitchell, 24 points, 4 steals in the win. Alex Sarr, 20 points, 4 blocks in the loss. The Wizards are hapless. The Cavaliers again improving to 6-3. Washington dropping to 1-8. The Toronto Raptors winning on the road. 109-97 at the Atlanta Hawks. The Raptors improving to 5-4 on the year. The Hawks dropping to 4-5. Emmanuel Quickley, 18 points, 6 assists, 3 steals in the win. Jalen Johnson, 21 points, 7 rebounds in the loss. The Detroit Pistons, they are picking up steam after a slow start to the year. Is it like a 7-game winning streak? They're streaking. They won tonight 125-107 to improve to 7-2. The Brooklyn Nets dropped to 1-8. That game was in Brooklyn at Barclays. Cade Cunningham, 34 points, 10 assists in the win. Michael Porter Jr., 28 points, in the loss. The game preceding tonight's Warriors Nuggets NBA Cup clash on Amazon Prime. Again, side note, terrific job with the broadcast. Enjoyed it. 121-110 the final in San Antonio. They defeated the Houston Rockets in another NBA Cup game. Same grouping as the Warriors and the Nuggets. Portland rounds out that group of 5 teams. The Spurs improved to 6-2. The Rockets dropped to 5-3. Harrison Barnes, 24 points in the win for the Spurs. Alperen Şengün, 25 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists in the loss. The Miami Heat, 126-108 winners tonight over the Charlotte Hornets in Miami. The Heat improved to 5-4 on the year. The Hornets dropped to 3-6. Jaime Jaquez Jr., 18 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists in the win. Hell of a season for him so far. Knuppel, 30 points. I thought I said 50 there. 30 points, 8 rebounds in the loss. But the Hornets, again, who dropped 3-6, Miami improves to 5-4. The Warriors will play Miami in a couple weeks to finish up a grueling road trip, and then hopefully we'll get Jonathan Kuminga on the show after that. That's where I'm gonna start having discussions about the specific date and time that he's gonna join the show. Very excited for that. The Memphis Grizzlies defeating the Dallas Mavericks. You all still hear me, by the way? Okay, good. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to check in. I rely on the chat sometimes when I'm looking at another screen, just to make sure we're still in operation. The Memphis Grizzlies, again, winners tonight, 118-104 over the struggling Dallas Mavericks. The Grizzlies improved to 4-6. The Mavericks dropped to 2-7. Coward, or is that how you pronounce his last name? The rookie, 21 points, 9 rebounds in the win for the Grizzlies. Marshall, 16.7 rebounds for the Mavericks in the loss. We did have a full schedule tonight. The Milwaukee Bucks, 126-110 winners over the Chicago Bulls in Milwaukee to improve to 6-3 on the year. The Bulls dropped to 6-2. Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's been on a tear to start the season, continuing the strong numbers and nights, 41 points, 15 rebounds, 9 assists in the win. Josh Giddey, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 14 assists in the loss. Minnesota blowing out the Utah Jazz tonight in Minnesota, more specifically Minneapolis, 137-97, the final, a 40-point win for the T-Wolves at home. They improved to 5-4. The Jazz improving to 3-6. Keontae George, 18 points in the loss. Anthony Edwards, 37 points, his second game back from that hamstring strain in the win. And last but not least, the OKC Thunder playing at Golden One, 132-101 winners over the Sacramento Kings. No beam shining tonight at the state capitol. The Thunder improved to 9-1. The Kings dropped to 3-6. Russell Westbrook, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists in the win. Isaiah Hartenstein, 33 points, 19 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the win. Wow, that is a hell of a stat line. There was someone on the show the other day asking about what separates Mark Daigneault from Steve Kerr. Playing Isaiah Hartenstein is all the evidence you need. And I think that's it. Genji Gawk in the chat saying, Chuck, or I'm guessing you're referring to Charles Barkley, thought the Dallas Mavericks was going to be the best in the West. And I bet the over on them in our OU shows. And like they still could course correct. They do have a lot of talent on that team, but it's not looking good right now. Side note, Klay Thompson is reportedly on the trade block. He was not started. He got taken out of the starting lineup, was not happy about that. Some folks mentioning his name for the Warriors, possibly trading for him, reacquiring him. That's one thing we didn't talk about with Armando in terms of like the what if scenarios if the Warriors are struggling at the halfway point of the season. Another one in terms of like, who knows, maybe trading Jimmy to the Mavericks and bringing Klay back. I mean, crazier things have happened in the NBA. So who knows? I mean, if the season's a wash, why not bring the Splash Brother back and have a nice farewell tour with the big three? If in fact it gets to that point, huge what if, huge. I still think it's unlikely. I still have faith in this team, even with the record dropping to 5-5. The Warriors now 1-5 on the road. That part, it's bad. It's just bad. It's just not good. Opposite of good is bad. So we're just saying it's bad. And that's it. We'll be back. No show tomorrow. We're going to be back Sunday immediately following the Warriors and the Pacers at Chase Center. And immediately after that game, they're going to start a long-ass road trip just to give you an idea of what's coming up on the schedule. Again, Sunday, the Warriors, and I'm looking at my phone because that's where my schedule is. I have a wallpaper. They play the Indiana Pacers and then starts a 6-game road trip, including a back-to-back at OKC, at San Antonio. That's next week. Then they play another one at San Antonio Friday. So Tuesday and Wednesday, OKC, San Antonio on the road, day off in San Antonio, enjoying some barbecue, going right back at it Friday in San Antonio again. And then the road trip moves to New Orleans to play the Pelicans. There's 1 day separating those two games, and then there's 1 day separating the Pelicans and the Orlando Magic. And then the road trip, the 6-game road trip, finishes up with another back-to-back. And then the back-to-backs really thin out after that. That's where the worst part is over. And again, it's curious to see where the Warriors end up after that. But they finished that 6-game road trip playing Orlando and Miami. That's rough. The Pacers game, 5 o'clock tip, 5 or 5:30. So expect us around 8 o'clock approximately Sunday night, where hopefully the vibes will be better and we'll be in a more celebratory mood because this one stunk. No way to spin that. I really do love all of you. I do, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being here. And we're back at this Sunday. See you then. Go Niners. Go Warriors. Bye-bye. Bye.